Good morning, Palestine. No greeting for any other country in the world. Before we begin today's session, we speak on behalf of Doctors Against Genocide, the world's first medical organization created to warn, diagnose, and prevent genocide. But after more than 600 days of live stream genocide in Gaza, it is too late to prevent. Now, we issue the only duty left to us as doctors and as witnesses. This is our final verdict. The United States of America is guilty of genocide. This is not policy. This is command and control. This genocide is not passive. It is not hidden. It is designed, weaponized, resourced, and coordinated from Washington, D.C. Over 300 lives, innocent lives lost, more than 25,000 children exterminated, hospitals and schools flattened, doctors executed, patients burned alive in their ICUs, aid turned into bait, starvation used as a weapon, cities erased. This is not just an Israeli crime. This is an American genocide executed with American bombs, American signatures, and American vetoes. We charge the entire United States government. The President of the United States is guilty of genocide. Congress is guilty of genocide. The Supreme Court is guilty of genocide. The Pentagon, the State Department, the CIA, the FBI, who are currently investigating me, you are all guilty of genocide. The Department of Justice, for protecting the perpetrators and hunting those who resist them. We charge American corporate power, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, General Dynamics, manufacturers of genocide, guilty as charged. Amazon, Google, Palantir, Microsoft, the digital war machine of genocide, guilty as charged. Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, Deloitte, Bain, for designing and laundering the Gaza humanitarian disaster, the most dehumanizing structure ever conceived. The Gaza Health Foundation, a logistical trap disguised as mercy. We charge the American Medical Association, the American Pediatric Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Psychological Association, and every hospital, every university, every pharmaceutical company giant that said nothing as Gaza's healthcare system was eliminated from Earth. You betrayed your oath. You are complicit in a war against health itself. We charge the religious institutions, Christian Zionists who preach annihilation, silent churches that watched, Muslim clerics who buried their heads in gold, Jewish institutions that shielded this genocide. We charge the United Nations, the ICJ, and every Western government that delayed, stalled, and calculated as children died. We charge the American public, each person, by their level of silence, consumption, and surrender to propaganda. Even we, healthcare workers inside this system, carry this stain. But we break ranks today. As for the Arab and Muslim regimes and nations, you are beneath this verdict. You do not even earn the dignity of a formal indictment. Indictment. You enforced the siege. You met with the killers. You suppressed your people. From Cairo to Amman, from Riyadh to Abu Dhabi, you will be forgotten or remembered only with disgust. Only Yemen stood with humanity. So now we ask all present to join us for 1 minute of global medical silence, not to mourn, but to indict, not in grief, but in historical record, not to feel, but to remember who did this, who allowed it, and who stood by. Let's take a moment of silence for Gaza, please. The doctors and the healthcare workers have spoken. The diagnosis is genocide. The perpetrator is the United States of America, and the verdict is final. And now let's start our webinar with our colleagues and healthcare workers from Gaza, the most honorable doctors and healthcare workers there is on earth. They are our role models, our heroes. They have been trying to fulfill their mission as doctors, to stand by their humanity as healers, despite all the difficulties. For the last 612 days, non-stop, while they are themselves are hungry, are starving, and while they are losing their families and their children and leaving them alone for the unknown, while they insist on saving the children and saving the victims. Thank you, everyone. We have few colleagues here from Gaza already started with us. We have few colleagues who are going to join us soon. We know that the situation in Gaza, especially with connections, is unpredictable. So we're going to start with our colleagues from Gaza now before we lose them. Then we move to our other great speakers here joining us today. So we start with Dr. Ahmed Al-Farra. He is the head of the pediatric and maternity unit in Khan Yunis at Nasser Hospital. And as we know, all hospitals have been bombed, either totally or partially. We know many hospitals, especially in the north of Gaza, have been evacuated and rendered non-functional by now. And from what I hear from the news, Al-Shifa Hospital is running out of fuel. They only have few hours left of fuel, as we heard the last update from Dr. Muhammad Abu Salmiya. Inshallah, he'll be able to join us soon. This means if fuel is not sent to Al-Shifa Hospital, This means a death sentence on more than 50 neonates and patients in the ICUs who depend on power and electricity for life. Let the whole world be on notice. There are dozens and dozens of neonates, of children, of patients in critical care condition who are at risk of being mass murdered in few hours if fuel is not allowed to the hospitals in Gaza. Dr. Ahmed, أهلا وسهلا, تفضل. You are muted, Dr. Ahmed. Can you open your mic, please?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you, my colleagues. Thank you.
وعليكم السلام.
Thank you, Dr. Maisa. Really, I will start with my great thanks for my colleagues. I completely sympathized with my colleagues who were undergone for jail or for to be present, Dr. Nidal and Dr. Maisa. They are completely sharing our feelings. They are our brother and our sisters. We are part of you and you are part of us. We are in one body and one language and one humanitarian feeling. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Every fear, every danger you are facing, we are feel about it. And every danger and fear we are facing, you are feeling about it. So we are in the same mind and the same body. My friends, I will start from the last updating about the gasoline or fuel lack. We are talking about Shifa Medical Hospital and the Ahli Arab Hospital are at risk of going out of service within 24 hours. The hospitals are currently providing emergency care to wounded and sick people in Gaza City and northern area after other hospitals have ceased operations. Nasser Medical Complex, the castle of South Gaza, is operating an extremely limited fuel expected to last no more than 48 hours. Until now, the Ministry of Health has not received any indication to fuel being allowed in or to support the generator operation. I get out from the hospital to make that meeting or that Zoom because the electricity in the hospital in some department are cut off because of try to minimize the use of electricity and minimize the fuel consumption. So if we are talking about fuel and generator, we are talking about mechanical ventilation. My friends, you can imagine that up till now, there is nearly 45 cases in the Nasser Medical Complex under mechanical ventilation. They are using electricity by mechanical ventilation. If electricity is cut off, this is, unfortunately, this is a birth, not a birth, it is a death certificate for each one of them. 45 cases and nearly 20 cases in the neonatal ICU. They are under mechanical ventilation also. So this object should be talking about it seriously, hour by hour, minute by minute, because if the fuel is not get inside the hospital, this will terminate nearly at least 60 or 70 patients. They will die as soon as possible. This is the first. Second thing, we are talking about the Israeli evacuation near Nasser Medical Complex. Now, all the evacuation that the Israeli occupation forces make declare about it or announce about it on the border of Nasser Medical Complex. So, as you know, my colleagues and my friends, Nasser Medical Complex is the last castle of the health sector in Gaza Strip, not in the south, in Gaza Strip. When we are talking about Nasser Medical Complex, we are talking about neurosurgical departments, pediatric surgery, orthopedic, internal medicine, maternity, pediatric ICU, neonatal ICU, adult ICU, plastic surgery, minor surgeries, ENT, ophthalmology, a cancer patient, all the subspecialty in the European hospital and in Nasser Medical Complex and in south of Gaza and in Shifa Hospital, they are collected in Nasser Medical Complex. So when we are talking about Nasser Medical Complex, we are talking about the castle of the health sector and the main column or the main organ of health sector in Gaza nowadays. So if the occupational forces, Israeli forces, make some fool step or some crazy maneuver to get inside the hospital, this means that they are make a big crime, and this will be disaster, and something we can't predict about the number of patients that will be killed if that happened. I hope that this will not happen.
Dr. Ahmed, before you go, how far are they from the hospital now? I heard some news that they are in the neighborhood. They are surrounding all the area around the hospital.
Yes, the evacuated squares are near the hospital exactly, but their air drone and their plan in the sky, any movement around the hospital from the east area, they will attack it. But from the west, you can move. So if we want to go to the hospital, we move from the west side. But from the east side, any movement, they will attack it. Also, their tanks is not far away from the hospital. They are in Khizan al-Najjar and in Crystal Palace in Satar al-Gharbi. This is nearly 700 meters. I think within 10 to 15 minutes, they can be inside the hospital. We don't want to repeat what they did in the beginning of the war when they attack Nasser Medical Complex and destroy a lot of equipments and a lot of rooms and a lot of furnitures in the hospital. We fight too much, and we did our best to make the hospital to come again and to work again. And we have no place to evacuate for it. In the first, we evacuated for Rafah. Rafah were safe area. We shifted to Rafah, but now Rafah is completely destroyed. No Rafah city. Now Rafah is completely destroyed and no building there.
So Nasser Hospital is the last remaining major functioning hospital in Gaza.
Yes,
And
sure,
they are within less than 1 kilometer away from the hospital.
Yes.
No patient can come to the hospital from the east side. And I think most of the bombing and the concentration of the bombing and the victims are all on the east side. So
Yes.
the people who are on the hospital the most are not able to come because they will be targeted. And some people can come from the west, but you are saying that if they eventually or end up attacking this hospital, that there is nowhere for anyone to go after this. There is no other
Yes,
hospital, there's no
yes,
replacement, and there is no even
yes,
safe area for the doctors, for nurses, or the
yes.
patients there to be evacuated to. Okay.
E-
But I just
Even
want to clarify these things.
even my friend for the patient, you know, the hospital is in critical situation, but some like the intensive care unit, pediatric intensive care unit, have 9 beds. All the 9 beds are occupied. The adult intensive care unit have 40 bed. All the 40 bed are occupied. You know, the trapping that they did with the distribution aid. This is a trap, as you mentioned by your valuable report in the beginning. They make a very trick about something. They call it foundation and aid, and unfortunately the speakers, they are talking foundation aid. It's not foundation, it's not aid, it's a trap for killing, for a sniper who are enjoying by killing. What they are doing in a camp that's closed by siege, they
Dr. Ahmed, can you say that again? That the American, what they
yes,
call Gaza Health or Humanitarian Foundation, is a death trap
yes,
for
it's
the
yes,
starving Gaza children.
yes,
The
it is,
mighty power of the United States is putting death traps to lure starved children who are starving and begging for bread to murder them in masses once they approach. Please
yes,
name, emphasize, we're going to emphasize these points. Every time you mention them, we'll just double emphasize the important one. Thank you.
yes, Dr. Nidal, I saw the victims of that trap by my eye. I will suppose that is a lot of crowdness there, a lot of people there, some confusion. You want to alarm them. You are the organizer that you are distributing the aid, and you are to organize. You can organize by shouting. You can organize by shooting in the air. In the bad situation, you can alarming them by shooting in the foot or the lower limbs. No, my friend. No, my friend. The shooting I saw by my eye in the eye and in the mouth. Some snipers are enjoying by killing. They are sitting in a position for killing. Every day we have nearly 30, 20 cases. They are killed by a snap in the eye and in the mouth. The names are recorded, and they are unarmed. They went there to take food, as they were told by the media that tomorrow the aid will be opened at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or something like that.
And we
Again,
cannot we cannot blame these people who have been starved for more than 3 months now. They do not have any food or aid for 3 months, so no one can or should blame starved families, starved parents, starved children from taking any risk to go and get some food, and no one should expect them to be very organized or very patient because they are literally starved. But as you said, that exactly is the American plan executed by their GHF and by their Israeli co-genociders, is to lure those starving people and to kill them in masses as they approach.
Dr. Nadal, I visited someone from my friend who was injured from that uh, targeting. I told him, my friend, why you did go there? Why? I blame him. I tried to blame him. He told me, please don't talk with me. I am hungry. My kids are hungry. All of us, we are hungry. You know, hunger and thirsty is the worst weapon that was used against the civilian in Gaza. It's unbelievable to saw your kids and your family, they all are starved. One of the thing that will be in our memory forever, that two girls were attacked from that AIDS targeting, and they came to the hospital, but they are saved. They are not shooting in the head. They told us when we resisted them and give them IV fluids, they told us, please, we are hungry, we want to eat. If they terminated, they will be died when they are hungry, and if they survive, they are hungry. So this is the situation in the aid distribution area, and this aggravates the situation in Nasser Medical Complex. Again, there are overcrowdedness. There is overcrowdedness in the ICUs, in the pediatric ICU, in the adult ICU. There is lack of medical supplies. There is lack of gauze. There is lack of fuel. There is lack of instrument for orthopedic, for external and internal fixation, for screws, even for sutures. The sutures are nearly lost for plastic surgery. So this is aggravate the situation. So you want to solve the problem of hungry, but you have you get two results. First result, most of people are injured and hungry again. They didn't take the AIDS, and if they took it, it will be mixed with the blood, and this is very, very serious. Last
Thank
point,
you.
my
Good.
and my friend, milk. Milk is now the most serious condition next to foul. Formula 1 and Formula 2 not available in the markets and in the hospitals and in the primary health care. This is the bad situation according to milk since the beginning of the war. Dr. Nadal, we have mothers that they are cancer patient. Some mothers are taking medication and unable to breastfeed. Some mothers, they are have a chronic illness and they unable to giving breastfeeding. Some orphan babies, babies who lost their mothers, babies who lost their families, all of them need milk. We didn't, I swear to God, we didn't find a bottle of milk for them. Everyone is, my phone now, when I on Zoom, is just receiving calls. Please, 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 can you tell us from where we can have a bottle of milk? This is unbelievable to happen nowadays. According to the AIDS, again, my friend, I told you I will talk to you frankly and transparently. I'm responsible for every word I'm talking about. Three weeks ago, I told you that there is gangs belongs to the occupational forces. Now the gangs is working apparently by name of Yasser Abu Shabab. This gangs is belongs to Israel. They are 300 military person. All of them, they are criminals. All of them, they have already some bad record about their history. Some of them, they are drug dialogues. Some of them, they are killing some person before. So they are escaped in the war and make that militia or gangs. Unfortunately, the occupational forces, and they declare that obviously between a record between Netanyahu and one of the ministers, I think the Russian one, whose name is I don't remember. I will remember his name, when he told him that you are forcing militia in Gaza, and this is maybe unsafe. He told him, no, no, it is safe. This is for Israel benefit, and they are helping us. That militia is stealing the aids, and they are getting the flour, and they getting the sugar, and they getting the cooked oil, everything, and then they try to deliver it to the markets by high prices, and this is unfortunately make the starvation is more and more. If someone asks why is the local authorities try to protect that aids, if they do any step to protect that aids and to protect the trucks, they will be targeted by the gangs, also by the Air Force. And what happened in Deir al-Balah since 3 weeks ago is a big evidence about that. Sorry for to be too late. This is the situation. Thank you, Dr. Nidal. Thank you, myself, for everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you for being with us. We're gonna come back to you again, hopefully later. I want to move and talk to our brave medical student, Izz Lulu. We tried to have Izz actually a few months back, but he was still in the north, and his connection was very bad, and we lost contact with him. But we are lucky to be able to connect with him again today. I don't know exactly where you are as now. I don't know what's the situation. So welcome back, as and tell us, please, how are you doing? Where are you now? What's the situation? And one more time, we are sorry for the loss of your family. Thank you. تفضل Az.
Alaikum, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much, Dr. Nidal, for this powerful gathering. Thank you, Doctors Against Genocide, for bringing us together today. Actually, to everyone here, thank you for refusing silence. Thank you for using your voice, your platform, and your profession to stand with us. Uh, Actually, you are stand with us not just in words, but in action. Thank you so much. This is not just a medical issue, it's a moral one, and I'm deeply grateful to be among those who understand that healing is not neutral when hospitals are being bombed. It's actually resistant. My name is Azzuddin Samir Lolo, a sixth year medical student from Gaza City, and the founder and CEO of Samir Foundation, which named on my late father, which supports medical students and healthcare system in crisis zone, especially in Gaza. Actually, I want to speak today not only as a medical student, but as a witness and survivor of the collapse of an entire healthcare system and the deliberate destruction behind it. Since October, we have seen over 300 healthcare system and 300 healthcare workers killed, including surgeons, nurses, and paramedics. More than 34 hospitals and 130 clinics have been destroyed or damaged. What's happening is not random, it's systematic. Every ambulance that's targeted, every hospital reduced to rubble, every child denied access to food or dialysis or cancer treatment. This is not collateral damage, this policy. Actually, recently in the north of Gaza, there is zero operational hospitals left. The Indonesian hospital in Gaza, in the north of Gaza, has been under siege. We have watched as patients were left to die in corridors, not because we were not willing to care for them, but because there was nothing left to use. No electricity, no medications, no safe passage. I think you heard about just in the week ago, the occupation forces destroyed the only remaining dialysis center in northern Gaza. Kidney patients now were left to die slow, silent deaths, simply for being Gazans. I have worked inside these hospitals. Uh, I have seen doctors operate by flashlight. I have seen infants die because there was no oxygen. I have seen colleagues get killed after receiving evacuation orders that were never honored. This is why I believe the word genocide is not dramatic, it's accurate. Uh, the US bombs that fall on hospitals, the vetoes that silence calls for ceasefire, the so-called humanitarian corridors that act more like traps, like it happens just in the week before when the people go to get some food aid from the American company, and actually they just called humanitarian corridors, but actually there is more like traps. There is not accidents. This is a weaponization of medicine, of hunger, of hope. And yet, even now, we resist. Even now, we build through the SEMI Foundation. We have created safe study hubs, supported hundreds of medical students, are training a generation, and powerful the next generation of healthcare system in Gaza that refuses to be erased. But we need the world to stand with us, not in pity, but in solidarity and accountability. Actually, just finally, just a call and call in action. Just you, you should try to enforce a permanent ceasefire to end this starvation, hold those using hunger and destruction as weapons accountable, and finally let the children eat, let the doctors work, let Gaza live. يعني finally I think we are just in Gaza. This is my city, this is my home. This is why I have grown, and يعني inshallah everything bad comes back, and I am sure that يعني, our resilience and our story will help Palestine to return to the always was. Inshallah ours and all ours inshallah. Thank you so much.
يا أهلا وسهلا تشرفنا عز. It's always an honor to speak to you and hear from you and hear your story, you and your colleagues. We, the doctors, healthcare workers in the world, are honored to share the same profession like the doctors and the healthcare workers in Gaza. We learn from you every day. We learn from your courage, from your integrity, from your knowledge, and from your ability to deliver when you have nothing to work with. I really think that doctors of Gaza and the students of Gaza and the universities, medical school of Gaza, when they are rebuilt, inshallah, should be the hub to teach all humanity, especially the healthcare system, how to handle traumas, how to be resilient, and how to fulfill your true duty as a doctor, as a healthcare workers, to always insist on your role on saving lives despite all the difficulties. And I know you suffered family tragedy, you lost your family, and almost every healthcare worker, nurse, doctor in Gaza suffered one way or another, but you continue to be there. You continue to stand up every morning and do all what you can, despite all the betrayal that the world has faced you with, including and especially from the healthcare community. So again, thank you, Az.
You're welcome.
Inshallah, please share the links for your initiative in the chat and share it with us also after this. And we are happy to support and amplify and join forces with you. We do have a small program that we just started recently. It's called Nabqa Huna, which means, for those who do not speak Arabic, we will stay here despite everything. And Nabqa Huna has two arms currently. One is educational and one is medical. And it is to support our people in Gaza, whether in the healthcare system or the educational system, to stay resilient and to be able to rebuild and to get educated and to rebuild their hospitals that get bombed many times over. and to insist on their existence in their land in Palestine despite all the difficulties. So we're happy to join, happy to support in any way possible. Thank you. We'll come back again with you as we have two great doctors from United Kingdom who have been on mission to Gaza many times. One of them is Dr. Victoria Rose. She's a famous or renowned plastic surgeon in the UK. She has been on multiple missions to Gaza. She just came back from Gaza actually a few days ago. I know she's still tired. I know she has a lot of commitments with family in UK. So I'm really thankful that she was able to join us or try to join us. Did we lose her, Dr. Rose, or she's still here? Oh, here. Okay.
There.
Oh, can you turn off, Maisa, can you help Dr. Rose with the screen? It's showing the screen a little bit off. Dr. Rose, thank you for joining us. Alhamdulillah ala salami. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. We're honored to hear directly from you.
Yeah.
If you can just turn off the background, Maisa, so it doesn't look like this, or it looks
I think she will need to change her background or remove it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do it myself, but I think Dr. Rose, if you can remove your background. Okay, perfect.
yes. Okay, perfect. Alan, Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose, welcome among your colleagues. We are doctors, healthcare workers all over the world, mainly in the Western world. We have a few hundred of us here listening to you. You have been an eyewitness in Gaza for the last 3.5 weeks. Please tell us, share with us, what did you see and what we should hear about what's happening and what can we do about it? Thank you.
I think the most important thing that's happened is the situation at Nasser. So I was there. I was initially supposed to go to the European Gaza hospital, but it was bombed on the day that I arrived. So we were diverted to Nasser. But I've worked at Nasser before, so it wasn't such a bad deal for me to be there. While we were there, we went into an evacuation order that put Nasser on the edge of the fighting zone. So we were red on two sides. And that was quite difficult for the local staff who had to evacuate their families from Khan Yunis into Amawasi. When we left on the 3rd of June, that night, Nasser went into the red zone completely, but without an evacuation order. And what that really means is that it's very difficult for people to get in and out. And we found out that the next day, the hospital staff bus couldn't get a deconfliction order to enter the red zone. So that meant that none of the staff got in on that day and none of the staff got out. So some of our colleagues ended up doing a 48-hour shift and the rest were turned around and had to go back to Deir Balah. I've spoken to the team at Nasser today, and it looks as if there is going to be an evacuation of some areas. MSF are evacuating their staff on Wednesday, which is quite a huge part of the hospital. It's the old Burns unit, it's 3 wards and 2 operating theatres. And they've decided to make that move to Deir Balah, to their field hospital, because they feel they can't get the staff in and out of Nasser. So that's quite significant for the activity at Nasser, particularly plastic surgery and orthopedic surgery. And so it remains to be seen what will happen to the international doctors that are now headed for Nasser and the state of the local staff that will be able to work with them and support them, and how those theatres will continue running without the MSF teams. I think the biggest worry now for us is because Nasser is in the red zone, it probably isn't going to be too long before the generator or the sewage system or the oxygen station or the water tanks get inadvertently hit, and then the hospital will start to go out of action. And as we've heard before, Nasser has 2 adult ICUs with 12 patients in each, so 24 adult ICU and 8 in the pediatric, but there's an overflow pediatric as well, so it's probably 12 pediatric ICU. There isn't anywhere around it now that the European Gaza is out of action, and I've received photos today to show that that has been taken by the IDF. So your only hope is the field hospitals of MSF Belgium, UK Med, ICRC, Kuwait, and the Jordanian, but they're all tents. None of them have more than 1 or 2 theatres, and none of them have the bed capacity, even combined, to take the number of patients at Nasser. None of them have oxygen stations, and none of them have ICU capacity. So if Nasser closes this week, everyone in ICU will die. And I think that's really a message that we need to try and get out, particularly to the British media. So anyone speaking to the British media this week needs to make it clear how many people are imminently going to die if Nasser Hospital closes. And the fact that one of the NGOs is leaving is a big indication that that hospital will be evacuating in the coming 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. 1 second, please. How about any other NGOs, any other medical organizations are still at Nasser that you know of?
MAP is still there, but MAP doesn't fund the section of the hospital. The only NGOs that run sections of the hospital are UK Med and MSF. MSF going is quite significant. UK Med run the emergency department. They also have their own field hospital, and we wait to see whether they will pull their staff out of the emergency department.
Are you aware what did the MSF say when they declared that they are leaving the hospital? Or was it were they pressured or was
No,
it
they're leaving because they can't get their staff in and out. So they pay for a lot of the staff that run those 2 theatres and all the wards, the 3 wards that are associated with them. At the moment, most of the staff are living in Deir el-Balah because it's probably the safest area in Gaza, because a lot of the United Nations offices are there and some of the big NGO offices are there. It's probably the least hit part of Gaza. When you walk through it, you can still recognize some of the streets, whereas I can't recognize any of Khan Yunis anymore. I can still recognize Deir el-Balah. And so a lot of people have moved there to take refuge, and there's lots of tent accommodation there. So most of the staff are living there, and the NGOs provide a bus that takes them from Deir el-Balah to Nasser. That bus has not been deconflicted, so they cannot get their staff in and out. So their decision now is to bring their staff out to their field hospital, which is based in Deir el-Balah.
So this is a systematic campaign on the whole health system in Gaza. We know all the hospitals in the north have been shut down and bombed and rendered unfunctional. We know Al Shifa Hospital has been destroyed beyond recognition last year. They tried to rehab, few beds and ER areas to serve the Gaza city. In the south of Gaza, the European hospital is completely out of service now. It is fully occupied by Israeli gangs and genocidal forces. They are actually using it as a command center now. And the only hospital remaining to serve the whole area of the south of Gaza is Nasser Hospital. And as Dr. Rose and Dr. Al-Farra mentioned, Israeli forces are approaching. They are within less than 1 kilometer away from it. Some NGOs are leaving the hospital because they cannot get their staff in and or out safely. They're running out of supplies, out of fuel. And there's danger. The danger on the last remaining hospital, Al Nasser Hospital, is very imminent. And this means it's a death sentence on hundreds of patients who are there, and also it's depriving the people of Gaza who are being bombed every day and who are in need of more hospitals and more healthcare workers to help them. Now they are deprived or are the threat of losing their last functioning hospital. Do you want to share anything else about the situation? Or maybe let's go to Dr. James Smith. Dr. James Smith is a UK emergency room doctor who have been to Gaza many times also, but unfortunately he has been denied entry in the last few times. James, I've been waiting to talk to you directly for a long time. I'm a long time fan of what you do. And I know we have been avoiding speaking frankly about the situation because we were always trying to protect your access. But now, since they revoked your access multiple times, please say it all, please, James. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nidal. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, good. No, thank you, and thank you for having me with you, and thank you to the Doctors Against Genocide team, and thank you, Dr. Victoria, as well. It's really nice to see you. Firstly, I just want to say I really appreciate what DAG have done. I mean, you've been consistent for, unfortunately, more than a year now, approaching 2 years, and certainly one of the largest healthcare worker mobilizations internationally that's still pushing. So it's really a privilege for me to be here and particularly to be speaking alongside our Palestinian colleagues in Gaza. There are maybe 3 points that I want to raise, a couple of things specifically that I've been asked to talk about. The first is, of course, the refusals of international healthcare workers who are trying to do medical solidarity work. The other is this notion of the humanitarian alibi. But before I mention both of those things, I wanted to perhaps just follow what Dr. Victoria has just mentioned with respect to the situation in Khan Yunis at the moment. I was speaking to a senior UN colleague just yesterday. We were discussing the situation at the European Gaza Hospital, which has now been made into a command and control center for the use of the Israeli occupation forces, which now occupy the building. And their reflections were that the IOF are, in their words, quote, advancing fast, pushing people towards the sea. And that's exactly what we see now. The east of Khan Yunis has been declared this sort of red zone, this grid-based system that the Israelis have invented. And of course, the entirety of the Rafah governorate in the south as well. The 2 grids adjacent to Nasser Hospital, one of which is home to Al-Amal Hospital, have been declared red. And as Dr. Victoria was saying, there is a very strong belief that Nasser Hospital will be next. And we know that Nasser Hospital has already been besieged once. Al-Amal Hospital, this is the 3rd time now that Al-Amal Hospital, the PRCS facility, has been besieged. More than 80% of the entirety of the Gaza Strip is now under either direct Israeli military occupation or has been declared a red zone, which is effectively space in which the Israeli soldiers are shooting to kill. So yes, the next couple of days will be critical. Certainly, we know from previous experience that when the international NGOs start to move, that's typically a signal that something really bad is about to happen. And very few of these NGOs generally will stay physically in place in solidarity with our Palestinian healthcare colleagues, which is another issue that I think warrants further discussion. I want to talk briefly about the refusals. It's only really a small part of the story. I don't want us to overfixate on the refusals, in large part because the benefit that is derived from international presence in Gaza at the moment is only really a small part of the solution that's needed. We shouldn't be redirecting our energy towards lobbying to get more doctors and nurses in. We need to be, of course, lobbying to bring about an end to this madness. Nevertheless, since the ceasefire, approximately 45% of healthcare workers that have been put forward on the emergency medical team list, which is coordinated by the WHO, have been refused a place on the convoys. Now, the way that this system currently works is that the lists are prepared and submitted to the UN several weeks in advance. Those lists are then submitted to the Israeli regime, and there is all sorts of sort of screening and surveillance and so on that goes on effectively to vet individuals. What happens thereafter is that there's a period of waiting. People move to Amman, Jordan, waiting to take a place on the convoy, which moves twice a week. There are about 21 seats for the entirety of the humanitarian system twice a week. And typically what happens is that the refusals come in the night before people are meant to be getting on the buses in Jordan. Now, for big NGOs, that is an inconvenience, but it's not going to cripple the work that they do operationally. For these smaller emergency medical teams, you can imagine that if they are flying out colleagues to Jordan, they're putting them in hotels and so on, this is enough financially to really undermine several of the organizations that are trying to do medical solidarity work with the Palestinian people in Gaza, such that, you know, it's going to become very, very difficult for them to continue to operate. The other thing, of course, and this is perhaps the major part of what Israel's doing here, is that they can still claim that they are supporting a humanitarian infrastructure because a small number of people are still permitted access, while they're doing all that they possibly can to otherwise undermine those efforts. So about half of the number of people on the list ever actually get in. At the same time, they're causing major logistical and financial problems for these organizations that are seeking to support Palestinians in Gaza. And in some ways, the presence of international healthcare workers is a double-edged sword in some respects, because Israel has used the visible presence of international NGOs and a small number of international healthcare workers as a core pillar of the case that it has taken to the International Court of Justice. So it has said, it has claimed that it can't be committing genocide against the Palestinian people because it is allowing humanitarian aid in and because it is permitting humanitarian organizations to function. So effectively what we're seeing here is that humanitarian presence, however limited it may be, is being used as a veil for the continuation of genocide and ethnic cleansing. So every time that a healthcare worker that's been in Gaza gets on screen to testify, of course, they're doing essential work. They are speaking about what they've witnessed, but they're also, in some very perverse way, demonstrating to a wider public, or they're able to be used. Their visible presence in the media can be used and manipulated by Israel to say, "Oh, look, you know, we are letting doctors and nurses into the Gaza Strip." And this is a segue perhaps to my third and final point, which is about this notion of the humanitarian alibi, which we've talked about for a long time now. This is not a new phenomenon. It's certainly existed for a very, very long time in Gaza. We know that humanitarian aid has a very long history of being used to stifle Palestinian political rights, Palestinian political movements, the sovereign claims of the Palestinian people, Palestinian agency, and so on. This is a core element of the critique of UNRWA, that the broad foundation of UNRWA, which of course was an entity or is an entity that exists to support the Palestinian people until their right to return is realized. UNRWA's function has been shrunken and shrunken over time, such that it now fulfills in large part a humanitarian function, to the obfuscation of the broader pursuit of Palestinian political rights. And this is, of course, what we're seeing now again during the course of the genocide. So humanitarian work is effectively being used as a substitute for the pursuit of the prevention and resolution of the genocide. And there are at least three different ways that this is happening at present. The first is the perpetrator of genocide, so the Israeli regime. They're using the language of humanitarianism to cover violent and illegal acts. So as some of our colleagues in Gaza have already mentioned this evening, the notion of the humanitarian corridors, the humanitarian enclaves, these so-called humanitarian aid centers, which are a very poor cover for the enactment of violence and ethnic cleansing. The other, of course, is the NGOs themselves that make humanitarian claims. Now, the decisions that these NGOs have taken, if we think about very, very early in the genocide, there were several large, well-funded international NGOs that chose to leave the Ministry of Health facilities and to establish their own field hospitals. And that is in large part, or at least in part, I should say, that has played into what we're now seeing, whereby the Ministry of Health facilities are being targeted and destroyed. And what we're left with is this small network of internationally managed field hospitals over which Israel can exert even greater control than it ever could if the Ministry of Health facilities had remained in place. This is all part of Israel's wider strategy to leave the Palestinian people entirely dependent on a handful of field hospitals that are literally on the beach in Al Mawasi, and that will be the entirety of the healthcare system that remains available to them. That is an intentional strategy on the part of the Zionist entity. Other aspects of these NGO decisions, refusing to engage with the Ministry of Health, not being directed by the Ministry of Health, undermining their authority, undermining their policies and processes and so on. All of these things we've seen play out, not only over the course of the last 20 months, but for decades now. And then third and finally, and apologies, Dr. Nidal, I realize I'm rambling, but I want to make just one final point, if I may, which is
No,
the
go ahead. Take your
Thank
time.
you.
Actually, I know you're at work and I know you have to go. So, but please feel free to
Thank
share
you.
all what you want.
Thank you. The third and final place that we see the humanitarian alibi playing out is in the language and the acts of complicit and colluding states. So if I think about the UK state, for example, you may have followed that recently the UK government has chosen to accept 2 children from Gaza, only 2 children, but they publicized this widely in the media. It was presented as a major humanitarian success story, all while the UK government, the current Labour government in the UK, has continued to maintain its military, financial, economic, and diplomatic support to the Israeli regime. And you can see here that this overinflation of small acts of humanitarianism or the pursuit of humanitarian aid are used to deflect from the UK government's broader political, legal, and moral responsibilities to ensure that that it ends its complicity in the genocide. So the humanitarian alibi really is in full swing. It's been in full swing for as long as Palestine has been occupied under the British mandate, and of course thereafter. But we're really seeing a very perverse manipulation now of the language and the values and the sentiments of humanitarianism by the genocidaires themselves, by complicit states, but also by humanitarian NGOs who are overinflating the work that they do in ways that are incredibly harmful to the Palestinian people. And I'll end there. Thank you, Dr. Nidal.
Can you say that again, please? Say that again, the last minutes of what you mentioned, please. This is important.
Absolutely. I think it's really clear that the humanitarian alibi has long existed in Gaza and throughout occupied Palestine, dating back to the time of the British colonial occupation. But what we're seeing now is this really perverse manipulation of the language of humanitarianism, but more importantly, the values, the sentiments, and the principles that give shape to international humanitarian action. And that is being used by not only the genocidaire itself, the Zionist entity, but also complicit states and NGOs within the humanitarian system who are really overinflating their humanitarian footprint at the expense of pivoting towards the pursuit of serious political advocacy and disruptive action to bring about an end to the genocide.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, for being with us. Thank you for sharing this important perspective and for sharing your truth. And we are sorry that you could not go back to Gaza, but inshallah, one day soon, we will all go to a liberated Gaza,
Inshallah.
despite them all. And I know you're at work. If you have to go and do something, then come back. We're going to be here, inshallah, for another hour or two. Actually, and to build on what you said, we have a great guest here. We're honored to have Dr. Mads Gilbert with us. He was not scheduled to be with us or speak, but I think we got lucky today. We have him. Dr. Mads Gilbert, a Swedish emergency room doctor. He is the one who has been doing humanitarian medical aid before most of us did not even go to schools, and before none of us even knew what that even means. And he's been speaking a lot about the situation in Gaza and many other places, especially when it comes to the issue of humanitarian whitewashing of genocide. Dr. Mads, if you are here, I know you're not prepared to speak, but if you are here, we will be honored to hear from you, even for a couple of minutes. Do you hear me, Dr. Mads?
I
like your
absolutely
hat.
hear
I
you.
like your
Yes.
hat, by the way.
I hear you,
Helmet.
Dr. Nidal. I'll be happy to turn on my camera if that is possible, if you
Sure,
allow
yes,
that.
please.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. We like the helmet, but we would like to see you in person even more.
Yeah, that's me on call in the helicopter, as an emergency doctor in the north of Norway. Thank you so much, Dr. Nidal, and all the other good people in this network. Two small corrections. I am not Swedish, I'm Norwegian.
Sorry, Norwegian. Sorry, it's Norwegian. Yes,
That's
it's my
okay.
mistake.
We're a little bit sensitive about that because we were occupied by the Swedes, so that's another issue. And the second thing, I've not been doing humanitarian work. I've been practicing what I coined solidarity medicine about 15 years ago. So I'm totally online with my good friend and my brother and colleague, Dr. James, on the principal issues. My camera is on. Yes, join as a panelist.
It's not on yet.
Did we lose him?
No, uh-oh.
No,
I think we
I'm
did
on.
lose.
Oh, he's right there. Okay,
Oh,
wonderful.
here. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, you look much younger this way. Good. So I apologize. Norwegian and solidarity medicine. Thank you. Although I heard this many times from you, and I should have been more accurate. So I apologize. But we are honored to have you, Dr. Mads.
Anyway, salam alaikum, everyone. And although it's painful to say it, I still say Eid Mubarak. And I want to just start off by thanking Dr. Nidal and all the other organizers, MISA, and all the other hardworking people, and in particular those who are residing in the US, because the US is the key to a change in the politics, of course. I want to start actually briefly by again not applauding, but praising actually and paying my deep respect to the Palestinian healthcare workers in Gaza and in the West Bank. I just came back from the West Bank, by the way, and the situation there is also very critical, as you all know. But I think one of the failures of the international community through the last 25, 30 years has been to not acknowledge the achievements and the importance of the Palestinian proper healthcare in Palestinian civil society, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. Because by replacing the Palestinian proper healthcare and the Palestinian leadership, not at least, this has opened the door to this massive colonization by the humanitarian convoy from the West. And that has led us to where we are today, where the humanitarianism is overshadowing the fundamental problem that we are trying to deal with. And as doctors, we are trained to find root causes and not just to treat symptoms. And the humanitarian issues in Gaza and in the West Bank are symptoms of a deeper, I don't have to say this, but of a deeper and much more important issue, problem, disease, call it what you want, which is the occupation of Palestine and the settler colonial project of the Zionists. And unless we address that, this will only continue. So I think that we have been failing for many years to properly, as medical professionals, to properly and precisely document and address the root cause and call for an end to the occupation, which has led us to a continuous diagnostic process of how many hospitals are attacked and how many civilians are killed and how this and that, which is important by all means. If we have a cancer patient, we should, of course, treat the pain with proper analgesic strategies, but we cannot solve that cancer problem without trying to get rid of the tumor or the fundamental disease. This political neutrality has served the occupiers. This political neutrality has served the colonial interests of the West and has rendered Israel as an occupying force, as a colonial structure with this 100% impunity for 75 years, which is precisely, I think, why this is going on to the level of a complete genocide unfolding live on everything from our mobile phones to the television cameras and the newscast, without the Western governments doing anything to stop this genocide, nor, of course, most of the Arab governments and leadership. So you could also look at what's going on in Gaza and the West Bank now as a failure of Western medicine, because we tend to comply with power instead of opposing power. And the famous professor from, I think he was from Poland, Virchow, said in the late 1800s that the doctor should be the advocate of the poor and that the doctor should choose side. He was the founder of modern public health as a discipline. And he also said that politics is nothing but medicine with other means. So I think this illusion of neutrality has always served the power to make medicine as an evidence-based science and an evidence-based practice, has made us cowardish when it comes to addressing political roots of bad health, ill health, or medical apartheid, for that sake. We know from 2020 statistics of the World Health Organization that the life expectancy in occupied Palestine was 9 years shorter than in Israel or in 48 Palestine. 9 years shorter, that was in 2020. And now this recent paper from the Lancet has documented, which has not been very much discussed neither in the medical community nor in the media, that the life expectancy in Gaza has dropped by 35 years within 12 months, meaning that the people of Gaza have now 50%, they have halved their life expectancy as a result of all these factors playing together: the attacks, the killing, the complications for the survivors, the starvation, the thirst, the infections, the lack of hygiene, the lack of water, the lack of soap, the bombing of the habitat, the refugee status. All of these malignant factors are coming together in one final common path, which is now documented. And that is this extremely dramatic reduction, man-made reduction in life expectancy from about 74 years to about 35 years. This is the greatest, the most malignant reduction, man-made reduction in life expectancy documented, as far as I know, in medical history. And it's being accepted. And it's being met with some lip service about this and that we may not consider some restrictions in the trade treaties with Israel from EU. We may consider some reductions in our supplies of maybe some supplies to Israel. We may advocate for some kind of ban when it comes to purchasing Israeli goods, but nothing substantial has been decided by the Western governments, nor by the majority of the Arab governments, despite all this massive evidence of the end result of the Israeli occupation and the attacks on Gaza. The other, of course, important number, also published in The Lancet, this first study with 35 years is published in The Lancet. The last one is, of course, the study showing that the UN OCHA numbers and the Ministry of Health, Palestine, the Gaza numbers of trauma death, killed patients, killed people in Gaza is 41% underestimated, 41% underestimated. This was also published by a very highly sophisticated statistical method by a group. They just answered, by the way, today, I guess, in Lancet, some stupid attacks from some Zionist doctors. So these evidences of a systematic, very, very detailed, planned way of a combined attack on the population of Palestine, both in Gaza and the West Bank, where you not only kill by bombing or deprive them the fundaments of public health, which is, by the way, food and water.
Can I just add, please? Can I add, please? And also in 48. So the attack is on all Palestinians, because the gangs that are killing the people in 48 are funded and operated by the Shin Bet. So it is an attack on the Palestinian people as people per se. Thank you, Dr. Maz.
Well, my point is that this has been known for so long that every time we start to make a new upheaval of condemnation, it is way down on the asymptotic part of the historical line of the systematics of the Israeli attacks on the Palestinian people. And we have failed. We, the white doctors from the West, we have failed massively when it comes to using what we have known and to use our statistical and our scientific tools to prove way before this last happened. I was working in Shifa in Gaza during the attacks in 2006, 2009, 2012, and 2014. I've written 2 books about Gaza. I've published a lot together with my colleagues in Gaza in peer-reviewed journals, but we have never, in a way, summed up and come together to make this a solid platform for a greater political attack on the settler colonial politics of the West and Israel as their decoy, as their tool to continue the settler colonial politics. Now, many doctors, many nurses, many midwives, many paramedics are so scared about being political that they end up in this humanitarianism, because it is seen as a betrayal of our Hippocratic oath to be political. On the contrary, that is the only way to observe the Hippocratical oath. It is to side with the patient and address the root causes of misery, short liveliness, short life expectancy, and other massive attacks on public health. Like Desmond Tutu said, he said, if you're neutral in a situation with oppression, you are on the oppressor's side. And what we are seeing, and I'd like to really commend also Dr. Rose for her brave efforts multiple times, and Dr. James also, in going to Gaza. Of course, we can contribute, but the heroes are the Palestinian healthcare workers and the Palestinian people resisting occupation and resisting these merciless attacks. And I'd like to end by quoting Edward Said in a quote he made 2 years before he died of leukemia. He said, never in history has a nation performed such detailed acts of sadism in front of the nightly television audiences and gotten away with it, unquote. Such detailed acts of sadism. And I think what we have seen surpasses any devilishness that I can think of in modern human history. And by modern, I mean from the First World War. Because this systematic starving, this systematic depletion of the right to health and the respect for the Geneva Convention and the respect for helping people who are injured, people who are sick, people who are needing food and water, it is so upsetting that I don't forgive myself and I don't forgive my government for the absence of more radical actions to stop Israel. And I think the most important thing we do, who have been to Gaza and who know the realities, it is actually to exert more pressure on our national governments to force them to change their lenient and their absolving of Israel through their inactions. We need much stronger actions from our governments. And the most important thing we do is to go to our ministers of health, our minister of foreign affairs, our MPs, and whoever we can talk to, and show them the reality, what's going on. Because, as you know, in 50 years, everyone will say, oh my God, how could this happen? Like we said 50 years after the genocide of the Jewish people during Holocaust, oh my God, how could we overlook that? Because by and large, the overlooking is part of the crime. It makes us all complicit. And as doctors and nurses and midwives, whatever we are, our duty is to support our colleagues in Gaza, support them in every way we can, respect them, and put the light on them and not on us, but most of all to change the politics of our own governments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. Thank you for this very, very important perspective. And thank you for reminding us that, yes, we ourselves have been colonized. Medicine, the Western medicine, as we learned it and practiced it, is a colonized science. It is a tool that the West, the colonizers, used to entrench their colonization and their exploitation of the vulnerable communities and of the global South. And thank you for sounding the alarm and reminding all of us that we need to start with ourselves and decolonize our minds as doctors and healthcare workers, as people who go to school to save life, to protect life, that the oath that we swore, we should live up to it. And we have solid data from Doctors Against Genocide to show that the number of victims of genocides and war crimes in the 20th century far supersedes all the lives lost in wars, epidemics, pandemics, including World War I and World War II combined. Which means if the goal of medicine is to save lives, then medicine should be the first profession to combat genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, apartheid, and occupation. Go ahead, Dr. Gilbert.
Yeah, two short points to add in. Number one, I want to pay tribute and salute the medical students of Gaza. I've been a visiting professor at Al-Azhar University for many years, teaching life-saving first aid and emergency medicine. And I know that many of these medical students are now very savvy medical doctors and have served during the attack and the recent situation. We published a paper for those who are interested in the Lancet in April, I guess, which was one new way to break the siege, where the young doctors in Nasser hospital, when it was under siege, performed quite advanced surgery, and also medical students, with the help of a telemedicine network we set up. This paper is presenting 12 cases, which they managed inside the ORs in Nasser by means of a team of foreign experts being available for direct hands-on guidance for those young residents and medical students. So really, my respect to Lulu and all the other medical students who have had a very sharp growth during the situation where they substituted for the lack of more senior doctors. Number two, just one experience from the struggle that the Tamil people in Sri Lanka, or Tamil Eelam, were fighting. In May, actually on the 16th of May 2009, in the shadow of Operation Cast Lead, the Sinhalese army made a final blow to the Tamil, and the Tamil struggle was actually called the Palestinian struggle of Asia. The Tamil people had been fighting a very brave resistance for many years, and in May 2009, while the world was preoccupied with what happened in Gaza, the Sinhalese army moved in pretty much in the same way as the Israeli occupation army are now moving in on Gaza, where they concentrated the Tamil people and pushed them towards the sea and actually into the sea, and drowned them by the thousands on a peninsula, which was then flooded by the tide. And the advisors to the Sinhalese army were Israeli high-ranking officers. So what we're seeing in Gaza now, unfortunately to me, is not new. I worked with healthcare for the Tamil and trained people there, medics. And I have a very uneasy, extremely fearful feeling that the Israeli occupation army is maybe planning to perpetrate the same kind of completely merciless ways of finalizing the genocide. So we need to trap up our activities more and more. It is hour by hour now. We only have maybe days or a week or two. So we can't sleep, we can't stop working, because now is the time to stand up totally for the Palestinian people. And I also support the armed resistance. I want to say that, just as I support the armed resistance in Ukraine, I support the Palestinian people's right to armed resistance. Nobody is talking about the fact that the Palestinian fighters, the Fedayeen, have been withstanding the Israeli occupation army for 19 months, which is by itself a great achievement. Of course, the armed struggle has to be within the rules of the Geneva Convention and international humanitarian law. But the ones attacking hospitals, the ones killing paramedics, the ones killing patients, the ones cutting off water and food and power to hospitals, the ones bombing universities, the ones bombing apartment buildings are not the Palestinian fighters, it's the Israeli occupation army. Full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mads Gilbert. Again, yes, very exciting. Thank you for bringing up the situation of the students and their bravery, their constant, insistence on learning and continuing their education. And please, everyone, we need to support them. As Dr. Mads Gilbert, we are talking about ours now. Gaza, our people in Gaza, our colleagues in Gaza, our students, our children are on the verge of complete collapse. Israel, this criminal genocidal entity, is the most merciless nation and country there ever have been. I was talking with some of my friends yesterday, and we actually researched, and we found out that Israel have supported every single genocide since the Holocaust. Israel have supported and supplied weapons to every single genocide all over the world since the Holocaust. And of course, that includes the apartheid system of South Africa. So this is a nation, this is a country that is a master in committing genocide. And we also know that no genocide in history ever stopped on its own. No genocide in history ever stopped by appealing to the moral awakening of the perpetrators. This is a sick nation, a sick society, a genocidal Zionist ideology that can only be stopped by force, by sanctions, by we, the people, rising up and paralyzing this genocidal, this anti-human government and country and nation and all its supporters in the West, in the United States. We, the people, are the only way that we can fix our history. And if we learn something in medicine, that we always should use the most effective procedure to save lives, the procedure that gave us more um, benefits than risks, ending genocides, apartheids, occupations can save more human lives than we can ever do at our bedside and in our operating rooms, which makes our political advocacy, which makes our insistence using our voice, our status, our leverage to end genocide, end war crimes, end occupation, end poverty, end racial injustice are more effective than IV medications, more effective than surgeries, more effective than sending and giving people pills, because we can save more lives. The most effective, the most consequential, one single medical intervention that can save more lives in Gaza than anything else, anyone else in the world can do now is an immediate, unconditional, permanent ceasefire. This is a medical demand. This is a medical emergency. This is a medical diagnosis and a prescription. It is not politics. We are practicing and insisting on our role as doctors and healthcare workers to save life, and this is what we are prescribing. Dr. Maz, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. You have one more point?
I'm sorry for again
No,
taking
no problem. Don't be sorry. We're
floor.
lucky
No.
to have you.
I just want to send a message to my dear colleague and very much respected brother, Dr. Youssef Aborish, and his team, Dr. Shatat, and all the others in the Minister of Health, Deputy Minister of Health team. I've known Dr. Youssef for the better part of 12, 14 years. He is a savvy pediatrician, and he has been the leader of the healthcare system in the civilian sector in Gaza for all these years. And I've seen his professionalism, how he has been systematically building up civilian healthcare in Gaza, and how he has been a very, very clever diplomat and a very pragmatic medical leader. And I don't know where he takes his force, his energy, and his courage from, but he has been standing tall through all these soon 20 months as a leader of the Palestinian healthcare. Unfortunately, the West and the mainstream media has barely noticed him, but I think we all of us white doctors and well-willing volunteers going to Gaza, when we're asked to give interviews, we should always ask the network or the agency who wants us to speak if they have asked the Palestinian first, because there is a tendency to completely obliterate the fact that the Palestinian healthcare force in Gaza is the most important. It's not us. And that the leadership of the Palestinian healthcare in Gaza should speak first and foremost when it comes to describing what are the most pressing problems and what is the most important solutions. I have learned a lot from Dr. Youssef. I will give him my salutations and the great support from my university hospital in Tromsø. We stand by you and we will not leave you until there is a free Palestine. Thank you. And by that, I end my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mads. Yes, thank you for highlighting this point. And yes, we are all in shock and awe. And full respect for our colleagues in Gaza, for their great dedication, for the heroism, for their ability to maintain anything called a health system after more than 612 days of constant bombing and systematic killing and intentional destruction of their system. So the fact that they still exist in any shape or form and try to manage whatever meager resources, limited resources they have to provide the minimum of care is by itself a miracle that I don't think the most advanced Western medical system or healthcare system can pull or can withstand. So yes, for Dr. Yusuf, Dr. Munir, Dr. Ahmad, for the students, for everyone in Gaza, we are in full admiration and respect. And we are in full solidarity and we are with you. And it is part of a DAG mission, as Dr. Mads Gilbert and anyone who cares about any targeted community, it's always to center the voice of the victims because they are the ones who are living it. They are the ones who know it A to Z. And as Dr. Mads said, for anyone who wants to speak on behalf of the Palestinians and solidarity, they are welcome to do so, but please always give a space or leave enough space for the Palestinians to be there with you, to share their lived truth and their lived experience. The nuance that the victims themselves have is not something that we can learn from the newspapers or from listening to the news or from books. If you are talking about the Sudan, please center the voice of the Sudanese people. If you talk about Gaza, about Palestine, center the voice of the Gazans. If you are talking about the Congo, you have to center the voice of the Congolese. If you talk about the migrants, you have to listen to the migrants. If you talk about the black community, the brown community, the victims themselves should be centered first and foremost, of course, along with everyone else who are in solidarity with them. But please do not hijack the space. Please leave at least enough room for them. I'm honored to do. I'm excited now to see that my colleague and co-founder of Doctors Against Genocide, Karama, was able to join us from Palestine live. I know she had a tough day. She had problems with connections, and I know her dad is in the hospital. I hope he's doing better. Karama, we're honored to have you. We're honored
Thank
to
you.
hear you from Nablus. Tafadali.
It's so good to be in community with all of you from the epicenter from Palestine. So I will just share quick reflections with you. The sumud and the resilience of our people continues to be unmatched, alhamdulillah. Things are very, very difficult in the West Bank. And we know about Gaza as well. People in the West Bank are devastated emotionally, devastated psychologically. My father, who is an 88-year-old man, he's himself a cardiologist, had a medical issue and needed to be admitted, and all he could think about and talk about is the elderly people in Gaza and who takes care of them when they are sick, who is able to manage their medical needs, who can help them move when they are displaced 10, 12, 13 times, who gives them their medicine. And it is just, it's really difficult. And, every child, I see the children in the street and they're not the same. There is pain, there is fear, there is a lot of agony. The medical doctors in the West Bank are in awe of our colleagues in Gaza. Every single one has been telling me how the skills of the medical community in Gaza, how their dedication, how their work ethics is out of this world. So I am here with my people in Nablus, in solidarity with Gaza, and happy to be in community with you. And I cannot wait for the day when Palestine is free. Thank you.
Thank you, Karama. So good to see you, as always. We're honored
Thank
to
you,
have
Bob.
you. And inshallah, free Palestine. But this will require hard work from all of us. And as we mentioned yesterday with a couple of DAG members, we met here in Dearborn, Michigan, that Gaza has the potential to liberate all of us. Gaza has the potential to fix everything that is wrong in the world, but only if we stand up with Gaza and don't let it down. Don't leave it alone. Because if we let Gaza down, we all are going to be next. And the whole dynamic, the whole criminal system that is exterminating, annihilating the people of Gaza is the same system that's ruling here us in the United States. The ICE, the security systems that's going after the migrants, the poor, that is kidnapping the parents, the mothers from their elementary school graduation, or from their children elementary school graduations in LA and every American city. The military state that we allowed to fester and to grow and to become powerful and to commit the genocide in Gaza, in Palestine, in Congo, in Sudan is coming home. Gaza has the potential to liberate us all if we stand up with Gaza and end the pain of the Gazan people and end the genocide and destroy all these systems that are enabling this, because we can protect ourselves at home. And I want to go to my friend Iyad Amawi. He's a journalist. He's the coordinator of humanitarian work in the middle region of Gaza. I'm sorry Imad because it took us long to get to you, بس بدي احكي لك بالعربي انت عظام الرقبة بمون عليك بهمش تحملني. And sorry to take so
بركة
long.
بركة دكتور نضال، انت معدام الرقبة على قولة الفلسطينية.
عظام الرقبة. اسمع أنا يطاوي، أنا من الخير، أنا أقرب واحد في فلسطين على غزة، أنا أعتبر حالي غزاوي، يا ريت تقبلوني أكون واحد منكم.
يا عمي اهلا وسهلا، بتشرفنا، انت منا اصلا،
الحمد لله.
كلكم منا. all of you are belongs to us يعني.
Allah يخليك. So Iyad, I know you're in Gaza now and you're working on the issue of the humanitarian situation, the unfolding disaster, the starvation, and this criminal entity that's called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, deployed by the American and Israeli army, and unfortunately with the design by the most prestigious and the most sophisticated American corporations and consulting firms like Boston Consulting Group, like many others. And as we said earlier, every institution, every corporation, every university in the United States and in the West is complicit in the genocide. They are the ones who enabled the genocide. They are the ones who designed the genocide. They are the ones who are executing the genocide. Iyad, تفضل. It's floor is yours. Please share with us your truth.
السلام عليكم. Hello everybody. My greetings to my colleagues, everyone. يعني we hope inshallah we meet at someday here in Palestine and then especially in Gaza after the genocide is ending inshallah. Dr. Nidal and my colleagues, the latest development here indicates that so-called GHF entity that we all of us maybe agreed about, this is a fake and illusion maker. When they announced multiple times within this week, they suspended the distribution aids. Yesterday night, with a surprising manner, the IDF, the Occupation Forces Israel, announced that the distribution will begin in the Netzarim access point at the early morning hours this day. A huge amount of population seeking foods directly go there, maybe thousands and thousands, and they're still waiting for more than 4 or 5 hours. The distribution when began with the randomizing without any system, without any fairnesses. So a lot of people haven't get their chance to get this basket of foods.
Did we lose Imad? Iyad?
Looks like we lost him.
Iyad, are you there? Did we lose you?
He's not on the screen anymore.
Yeah, he will come back. I mean, he always has a problem with the connection as expected from Gaza. It's part of the genocide. But we also have Dr. Brennan Bowman here, who just also came from a mission to Gaza. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Brennan, today. I know you're a very busy doctor, very busy person. It's hard to get hold of you. But if you have, you want to share anything for a few minutes, please, before, while at least we're waiting for Iyad. And maybe after that, we need to move into all of us talking about what actions we need to brainstorm actions that we can do as doctors, healthcare community here in the West to help, to mobilize, to send the urgency required to end this humanitarian disaster and this catastrophe, this genocide in Gaza. Dr. Brennan, تفضلي.
Sure. Thank you, Nidal, and thank you, everybody. I mostly just want to echo the truly remarkable way in which Doctors Against Genocide is able to hear directly from our Palestinian colleagues in Gaza. And when I was there in March and April this year, I was really just blown away by how not only by, of course, the individual healthcare workers' ability to just show up every day despite starving, despite having, their family members killed, and but also the ability of the Ministry of Health to still, despite all of this, organize a response. And so I think, as Dr. Smith mentioned, the intentional crippling of the Ministry of Health public system and saying that we're just going to let these NGOs provide care in field hospitals is really not acceptable. As advocates now and activists, we need to continue, especially in America, to fight against this concept of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is clearly just a death trap and a concentration camp, and fight against our own officials saying that that's in any way an acceptable way of providing humanitarian aid. I think that Iyad is back online. I don't know if you want to step over to him, but we just have to keep fighting from here to end this genocide, because the doctors and nurses and people in Gaza can take care of their own people if the bombs stop. We need the bombs to stop. There needs to be food and medicine and fuel, and that's it. They don't need me. They need the bombing to stop.
Dr. Bowman, can you say that again, please? The doctors, the nurses, the people of Gaza can take care of themselves. They are actually the best of the best.
I witnessed in tremendous capacity and skill and competence and organization in Palestine across healthcare specialties and at all levels of the health system. But you can't do that when every single place is getting bombed, including the hospitals where you're working. I was at Al-Aqsa Hospital, which was bombed this week. It's the bombs have to stop. People can't work when they're starving. That's all that's needed.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm Palestinian. I'm from the West Bank, and even us in Palestine, the West Bank, we always look in shock and awe to the people of Gaza, how resilient they are, how innovative they are, how strong they are. And the people of in Gaza, they do not need our charity. They do not need our money. They do not need our help. All what they want is for the empire, the United States of America, the genocidal state of Israel, is to take their knee off their neck, stop the bombs, stop the occupation, stop the genocide, and the people of Gaza will find a million ways to survive, to rebuild, and to thrive better than you, the Israelis, better than you, America. Do not think you are so much. You are nobody. You are living on the exploitation of the world. You are thieves of the resources of the world. The people of Gaza have nothing to apologize for. The people of Gaza have nothing to apologize for. They have nothing to explain. They did not invade anyone's land. They did not steal anyone's land. They did not occupy anyone. Just leave them alone. Give them their land back. Stop your bombs, and they will manage to survive better than you all. Israel, do not think you are so sophisticated, so technologically advanced. You are nobody except for the billions and the billions and the billions of dollars coming to you from your slaves in the United States and in the West. You cannot survive 1 week in that region, which you should not be there in the first place, without that aid. Leave the people of Gaza and in Palestine alone, and we can take care of ourselves. Iyad, welcome back.
You are welcome. I'm very sorry because we have weak internet here, but inshallah we will continue. My greetings to Dr. Brennan for her nice words and her solidarity, inshallah. The latest development, as I talked before, indicates that the so-called Americans aid organization, GHF, or rather the fictitious entity here, maybe they under the Israeli protection and becoming the nearest point for the distribution is near the Israeli military bases here in Gaza. The aid distribution has been postponed multiple times within last 10 days. Yesterday night, they announced by some very strange way by the radio of the Israeli occupation army, the distribution will resumption the distribution in the Netzarim access point. Thousands and thousands of people crowded there and still waiting for more than 5 hours to get some foods from there. They made creative chaos and they let people randomizing get what they can without any system, without any fairnesses. It's a very horrible time that we have seen before, something like that. When I see a lot of my peoples there and my testimonies today, we have lost one martyr and more than 26 casualties from the Netzarim access point when the people seek foods there. After they finished the amount of little foods and baskets there, they directly calling the tanks to come into the GHF warehouses. Al-Arabiya News and a lot of official channel recorded these videos. Maybe I will send to anybody of my colleagues they need to see. The tanks began attack the people with the ammunitions and the smoking, something like that, and the drones. So the people randomizing, they ran away and they throw some of them the basket from their hands. And after that, they announced there are some attacks from the Palestinians. It's a fake news from my testimonies here. They intend to do some humanitarian of dignity and do horribles time by time. A lot of transportation company here, locals, refuse to do any work with or any cooperation with the GHF because they haven't any clear entity. There is no existence here over the ground, something like WFP or United Nations organization. They announced yesterday establishing a new distribution point in the western region in the Rafah. That region is especially, it's very important to know, my colleagues, under the protection of the Israeli army, and also the gangs under the leading of the criminal Yasser Abu Shabab there. And they let people will come, will go to that region. This is very dangerous and have multiple threats over our civilians' lives. This is a bad story. The Americans and the Israeli began from little time to increase our suffering. There is no real distribution here over the ground. This day, tomorrow, they will let the trucks randomizing go to the street and let people attack these trucks. This will increase the chaos here, and maybe the strongest man will obtain the foods. But the patients and the orphans and the women and the elderly people haven't an ability to obtain any foods. This is randomizing distribution again will increase the suffering of people here, and the inflation of prices, because the GHF baskets began rebuying it in the reselling it in the market, and the black market merchants, bad merchants here, doing more worsen the situation, and economics here is very bad. And the Israeli also shrinked the land that for our people here can grow the vegetables and doing something like that. So the suffering here will increase within more than 72 hours. Really, this is a human appeal for all who can do something for us. At this morning, I spoke to the Solidarity Chip, those nice people who will come to the Gaza, have baby's formula. They have a hope to come to the Gaza, but at this moment, before 30 minutes, I talked to the leader of the ship. He talked to me that the Israeli will maybe attack their ship, and they will bring them to the Haifa or the Asqalan's prison, and they have a fears to maybe they jailed them. So there's no way for anyone to come to the Gaza and break the siege here. So we call again, the humanitarian corridor is very urgent now, under the protection of UN organizations. It's very important to save our children. We haven't time, really. Today, we have lost more than 3 babies because the malnutrition circumstances here in the south, and the people here have lost their minds. A lot of people, thousands and thousands, I swear, when I saw these scenes in the street, a huge amount of thousands go attack the trucks. Those people not are looters. Those people have seeking foods. They lost every hope to seek food. So the scenes must stop, because the GHF and the Israeli army need to do and to make our Palestinian here and our Gaza to lose our mind. So to support our resilience, the UN organization must resumption their works, and they let them to do. If they prevent also the special company here, the special security company who was related to the WFP and UN to do their jobs, and shoot them. And just as the Israeli media announced yesterday, they provide Yasser Abu Shabab with the needed privilege to do the protection. It's a fake news. Yasser Abu Shabab, as a local NGOs here and have a coordination with the international NGOs, haven't any trust. They have criminal records, and the Israeli need to increase the suffering by let him do what he need. So the situation is very complex. There is no baby formula here in our stores and in our warehouses. The flowers is also is very decreased indications. So we need to increase the trucks without any limitations or any struggles. This is the only solutions. I appreciated your attendance, my colleagues, and your speech about the health sector here. But the important things here to increase your support to talk about malnutrition for our babies and the threats over their lives. Nothing to do more than feeding them and let the trucks come into the Gaza without instruction. The Americans haven't any ability to distribute food with the fairness or any database system here because they haven't an employee that agree to work over the ground here. The consultation company withdraw from the Gaza. I know a lot of their employee that talk to a lot of NGOs here. They haven't any knowledge about the reality here over the ground. So in our expectation, the GHF will leave soon. But the Israeli increased their pressure over the Americans to stay and to increase the distribution of the basket with the randomizing manner to increase the suffering and to show the full victory as the criminal Netanyahu mentioned before. But the reality over the ground here, the suffering increased day by day and hour by hour. So Dr. Nidal and my colleagues here, all of you, we must concentrate over this point. Let the trucks come into the Gaza without instructions. This is my human appeal as my colleagues here. The only solution that we can urgently do some recover for our people directly. After that, we can complete our speech about all of the sectors that also is very important and critical for us. Thank you, Dr. Nidal and my colleagues here. I hope we continue, inshallah, support and stop this genocide here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing this truth from Gaza. And thank you for sharing that. As we all know, the food is there, the aid is there, the organizations that know how to do it at scale are already there. It's only 2, 3, 5 miles away from more than 2.3 million starving people, more than 1 million starving children. As Cindy McCain, the wife of the late Senator McCain, who's a Republican, and she's the head of the World Food Program, said, the food is there. We have everything that Gaza needs there at the border, and we are the only ones who can do it at scale, and we can do it immediately if we are allowed safe access. So this is an appeal to all people of conscience all over the world and to the United States of America, to the president, to the administration, to everyone who cares about humanity in this world. Please allow the food in. Please allow the organizations that know how to deliver these missions, that have been on the ground for decades, that have the capacity, the personnel, the knowledge, the logistics, and the food available to deliver immediately to avert this impending catastrophe. We don't need your money, America. We don't need your money, Israel. We have all what we need. Just take your knee off the back of the necks of the people of Gaza. Leave them alone, and we know how to take care of them. Just let the aid in. Bread, not bombs. We don't need your experimental projects. We don't need your genocidal Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that is designed by Israel and by complicit American consulting companies as a tool for genocide, for forced displacement, and as Dr. Smith and Iyad and many colleagues here shared, as a tool to push all the people of Gaza to the shore, to the south, so they can easily expel them at one point and make them completely dependent on their criminal aid that comes stained with blood. So this is an appeal to everyone in this world who cares. Please use every means you have, every pressure, every voice, every letter, every phone call to your elected official to stop the American and Israeli genocidal project in Gaza. Leave them alone. We don't need your money. just stop your bombs, and we can take care of ourselves. Um, I think we finished with our scheduled speakers for now. Thank you all for being with us. Now we are going to turn to our colleagues here in the United States, members and doctors of Doctors Against Genocide, to brainstorm their reflections on today's webinar and also to brainstorm on what actions can we do to amplify the message we heard from our colleagues, because this is the least, this is the minimum that we can do for them, is to try to find ways to help them to break this criminal blockade, to stop the attack on healthcare, to stop the attack on life and on children. And Iyad, thank you. Please stay with us. We might have some questions for you or for us or any of the speakers. So we are gonna start with, I know we talked to Dr. Brennan. Do you have any final reflections, Brennan, on what we can do to help our colleagues?
Oh, I'd rather turn it over, I think, to the DAG leadership to talk about and community to talk about action brainstorming.
DAG
Thanks.
leadership means Karama is here. Go ahead, Karama, please.
Drama is a little bit, I don't know, in a mixed place.
I know you have a lot to process there because you're going through
but
so many things at the same time. But go
I'm
ahead,
very
please.
happy to see Is Lulu still here with us. Hello, Is, كيفك? I
تمام.
thought you had your hand up, but I think Izzuddin is one of the people in Gaza that teach us by being so connected and so outspoken and so brave in face of such massive atrocities. And I think that what we should do is, especially as medical doctors who are in academic places, is to engage our medical students and our residents to connect with as, and I know this is an initiative that you are working on as, so tell us how to support you. I think we should uplift what you are trying to do and build it and make it even stronger and put every single medical student has a lot to learn from the students who are in Gaza right now. And we know that speaking on Gaza has been a tool, like obstructing speech on the topic of Gaza is a tool of genocide. The media is censored, the media is complicit, and it seems like it is really up to us who know the people in Gaza to continue to speak up. And every connection we make with Gaza is a step in the right direction. So, as if you, I don't know if you spoke about your project about the connecting the students, but because I joined late, but if you want to say something, please do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and uh, we thank those who have spoken also. But now, just يعني, we ask for more than words. Actually, I want to just share something deeply personal that I have been working on from inside in Gaza, and we invite you to part of it. And actually, Doctors Against Genocide, um, Against Genocide is, and many international supporters who continue to stand with us. So thank you so much. As I said before, I founded and I launched the Samir Foundation in memory of my father, Samir, who was killed during the war and remains under the rubble, who he is and other 20 of my family members. They was killed and they are still under the rubble till now for more than 1 year. So after that, I founded the Sami Foundation and now officially registered as a UK-based NGO. Actually, through this foundation, during the last year, built from grief and love, we have grown, alhamdulillah, into the largest medical support initiative in Gaza for medical students, providing full scholarship, building educational spaces, and just and this week, 2 weeks ago, we just launching the first Gaza medical hub, the study space for medical students with electricity and good internet. But now, currently, we have launched the Samir Foundation Ambassadors Program. This program is a global network of medical students, doctors, and healthcare professionals working together to support education and healthcare in crisis zone, of course, starting with Gaza. So we inviting medical students, doctors, healthcare professionals, and anyone who wants to support to get involved by monitoring students in Gaza, organizing awareness events at universities or hospitals, joining campaigns, raising awareness on social media, hosting webinars or workshops, connecting us with researchers and training opportunities, sharing this opportunity with others, or simply offering time, skills, or ideas. So, yep, and I think I sent the link of ambassadors in the chat, or also can I share also? So thank you so much, and appreciate Dr. Agani Genocide support for us and for everyone who spoke in this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Iz. And I know from my colleagues in the West Bank that the residency exams have been held in Gaza despite everything. The students were doing online examination with consultants from the West Bank and from inside Gaza for subspecialties and medical school. The OSCE exam was held. So
Exactly.
this
To till now, we just launched this initiative 2 weeks ago, and to till now, we have more than 500 ambassadors around the world submitted to this program. So, inshallah, in 3 or 4 days, we will close the application.
all to say that medicine is alive and well in Gaza, and we have a lot to learn from this hard work and insistence on excellence and insistence on learning. I think people are obsessed about education in Gaza. MashaAllah. Allah يحميكم.
ما انت عارف
So,
الفلسطينية يا كرمة.
yes. Yeah, Jamaa, on that note, since we have our colleagues from Gaza and especially Iyad and Riz, and in appreciation of all their resilience and steadfastness and insistence on excellence and on Nabqa Huna, please, can you turn all your cameras, please? Everyone turn on their cameras, and we need to give our friends applause for all our friends in Gaza, and we promise to keep in our thoughts and to do everything we can to support you and to end this massacre. Thank you. Turn your videos, your cameras. Thank you, Gaza.
الله يكرمكم.
Thank you, Az.
Wait,
Thank
can
you,
we take a
Iyad.
photo?
Thank
Can we
you,
take a
Dr.
photo?
Ahmad. Thank you, Dr. Abu Rish. Thank you, Dr. Munir. Thank you, every doctor, every healthcare, every child, every woman, every mother, every father in Gaza. We see you. We hear you. We failed you, but we promise to do better. Thank you. So, on that note, I also just received a very alarming message from our colleague, Dr. Muhammad Abu Salmiya, the chief of Al Shifa Hospital. He tried to get on, but unfortunately, his internet is terrible. He could not be with us. As we talked about the situation in Nasser Hospital, that is under imminent threat of destruction. The situation at Al-Shifa Hospital is not much better. They are running out of fuel. He said that the situation at Shifa Hospital now is worse than last year when the hospital was bombed and attacked. Even at that time, they did have enough fuel for a few days. What Dr. Absalmiya is sharing now, that they have more than 50 people in intensive care units, both adults and pediatrics and children, and they don't have enough fuel in the hospital to last the generators for 24 hours. And if no fuel is delivered to them immediately, this is a call to the WHO, to America, to President Trump, the president of peace, the tough man who's gonna fix everything overnight. There are babies who are gonna die within 24 hours if we don't allow them food and fuel, which is already there, President Trump. If you are tough, as you say, I don't know if maybe you change your mind because we don't see your toughness anymore, except your toughness about murdering and mass slaughtering children and mass starving children. Please do something. You can do it. No excuses. So,
دكتور نضال
تفضل.
President Trump promised all of the world to bring the peace. And we remind him a lot of times with our appealing to all of the humanitarian organizations in the world, he must do something. Netanyahu have a madness. He need to cleansing us here from Gaza. We will not leave our land. We rooted here in our land, in Gaza. And we rebuild we promise all of the world, we rebuild Gaza. Even though what's happening is still happening here. Because it's embedded in our DNA. But the world must have some urgently actions, especially for the children. Really, Dr. Nidal and my colleagues, the time is, we achieve the critical point here. When I see the messinated body and the people dizziness and lose their mind, it's very horrible things that you can't believe. So as a human being, we must do some tangible actions here to change the situation urgently. No time to for more speaking, for more talking about the genocide. The genocide chapters is implemented here with a bad way. At this morning in Khan Yunis, they force our people to displace, and maybe I quoted it before in the last meeting, is expulsion process for the 6 times at this morning. A lot of families here lose some of their children. So you can imagine when under the pumping of tanks and randomizing the ammunition around our people, and they let them fire them from their tents also. I can't believe how those people can deal with this repeated actions against them. So they need to do this, and please, we need actions, we need stands, we need more appealing to the politicians, we need more increasing the politicians and public opinion to change and to stop those madness. Those source of evils must stop now. The remaining health sector or medicines that still work will not meet the casualties, our needs. There is nothing to do for our casualties that come every hour here. Especially, in my expectation, Nasser Hospital will suspend also if the incursions is continue. So we must do some urgent interventions to save what we can save. Dr. Nidal, I believe in you and my colleagues, and all of us can do something. I know this is long time we began, but we must continue. We will not give up. We promise here, even though we die or still, inshallah, we will continue. But we need you, all of us, all of your colleagues, please support these ideas. We must do some tangible actions. A lot of ambassadors talk to me at this night and ask me how we can deal. I tell everyone, you must stop this genocide. This is the only solution. And let the trucks come into the Gaza directly without any suspension, without any delay. So this is my last speech before I have to leave, because we have a lot of cases here must we take care for the malnutrition babies in our project with the children not number and a lot of organization here. So I thank you very much, and I grateful for my colleagues to your time and your nice speech, everyone here, inshallah Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you for being with us. And yes, let's internalize the urgency that we heard through your voice and the situation in Gaza. And now we're going to open it up to our colleagues to see what we can do that can match the very urgent and catastrophic situation in Gaza. And that is now at this point is the worst it has been since this genocide has started. So we're going to go to DAG Leadership Canada, Maisa Hawash, the proud daughter of Nablus. Go ahead, Maisa. What can you do? What's your reflection? What can we do in Canada? What can we do here in the US? Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nidal. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you specifically for our people in Gaza. I just can't believe that they keep showing up every week to tell their stories, to stand tall and help us, really help us speak truth to power. A few reflections from my perspective. I was reflecting on why a lot of us, like the masses, are not taking action. And I just want us to think about this idea that we live in a system that is trying to teach us that we as individuals have no agency, that we have no power to make a change, and that somebody else will take care of it. Maybe the politicians, maybe the humanitarian organizations, maybe the organizations that are sending aid. And I want to remind everyone that we as individuals do have agency. We do have a power to do something. And I think it's up to every one of us to assess what that thing is and to assess what amount of risk we are willing to take. Because ending a genocide, liberation, and freedom, actually, sadly, historically, there is a price that we have to pay. Whether it's losing a job, some of us got arrested last week, really, it is not up to the other to take care of this. This is our moral and human obligation. So I want to start with that. Think deeply. As an individual, what are you willing to risk? What are you willing to do to not be a complicit player in this atrocity, in this genocide? I'm going to speak a little bit from a Canadian perspective. We had a big event with one of the NDP leaders. We got a lot of media attention, and that can look okay, can look like a successful event, but it's not sufficient. We're not ending the genocide. It is incumbent on every one of us to actually continue these conversations, continue to hold our politicians accountable, continue to share the stories of our people in Gaza, because their voice needs to be centered. It has to be what everybody uses as a source of truth. So for me, whether we go back to Ottawa and have more meetings with the MPs, whether we call them every single day, every 5 minutes, if it takes, to remind them that they are complicit and that they need to do something until we actually reach critical mass. And that's not going to come from relying on the others. That's going to come on relying on ourselves. And sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's really lonely. And sometimes, this capitalist system creates so much restriction on us, but we need to actually keep going. We need to find that voice. And then once we find the voice, we have to keep going and we have to keep advocating. I think there's some actions that are being planned and organized. We know the March to Gaza is happening on the 12th. There is a flotilla event. And all these individuals' actions are good, but we need everybody to come together to actually amplify the voices of Gaza and challenge the status quo, and then put our governments on notice for committing and being complicit in genocide. So there's so many resources. There's so much information you can share. You can reach out to us, email us if you need some information that you can use for your advocacy efforts. But please take it upon yourself individually and don't wait for somebody else to take action, because that's what I see. I see a lot of people with, seemingly good intentions say, oh, it's horrible. What can I do? When we get these questions every time, and then nothing happens. So no, we need to actually take action, and it's an individual action that gets amplified when a group of us do it together. So those are my thoughts. And, info@doctorsagainstgenocide.org, email us. We will give you all the tools, the resources, all the information that you can take and use to build your language and find your voice to advocate properly for the freedom of Palestine and for ending this genocide. Thank you.
Thank you, Maisa. Yes, every one of us is a full human being. We all have agency. Every one of us can do more. Every one of us can think and can act based on their obligation, humanitarian obligation, professional obligation, to do more, to call, to brainstorm, to give suggestions, to ask for suggestions, to mobilize, to join. None of us is helpless. They want us to believe that we are helpless, but we are not. We are the people. The people of power are less powerful than the power of the people. We just need to mobilize the power of the people, please. Now we're gonna go to our American colleagues in no specific order. Anyone is welcome to jump in, or do you want me to call? I see Dr. Badroni, his mic is on, so maybe we go with him first. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for the profound presentations that take place every week. They're devastating, they're powerful, they're motivating, they're humanizing, and they're very welcome. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm thinking ahead already. I'm a university professor. I've been very close to the student leaders on my campus and on some other campuses as well. And I'm thinking the start of the next academic year is 2 months away, which is horribly far away in terms of the genocide. But the unfortunate news we know is as hard as we're fighting, it's likely we will still be fighting then. I think it's time to think practically about all the ways that students can be meaningfully supported to feel safe coming out. I mean, we've had, since the original student uprising, tremendous repression on campus, the use of police to beat and humiliate students, and of course then the Trump administration, which has hounded students who are, especially foreign students, who's put additional risk onto students and onto campuses as a whole. But I think that I think it's important not only that, and I hear that I'm hearing from student leaders that there is a lot brewing right now. And I want to help them to concretize that in terms of thinking about all the ways that those of us who support them can be truly supportive. One of my tasks within DAG has also been to want to use a DAG type model that thinks in terms of your professional roles as health workers, as doctors, to form bonds of solidarity with your colleagues in Palestine and to always speak through your professional voice. And obviously, this is a model that can be brought to other sectors, including education. We've started to do that to some degree. Some of the concrete ways that I want to help that to pan out is an active adoption of brotherhood or sisterhood of different universities in the US or in the West in general with universities in Gaza. So I want to encourage our student leadership to choose one partner university in Gaza and to have its mission be to focus explicitly on what is happening, what has happened to that university, to its public and to its infrastructure, to its material infrastructure and institutional infrastructure, but also to center the ways that it is at the center of preservation and rebuilding, to recognize that existing infrastructure and the relationships that are still there. And also as a professor of education, to encourage my college of future teachers and teacher educators to actively partner with schools in Gaza and to bring attention to what is happening to youth in the perspective of their educational lives at the same time. So that will be my focus, is the cross-sectoral focus on education, specifically in terms of resparking and supporting student movements and also partnerships at both the university level and at the grade school level.
Thank you so much, Tom. This is what we're hoping everyone will be doing. Just build the connections and build the solidarity networks and work together. It's very, 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 very frustrating, and it's very overwhelming not to be able to put an end to this annihilation campaign when it's so obvious that it's so inhuman and so illogical that this keeps going. But we have to hold on to our humanity, and we have to hold on to each other, and we have to just keep being in solidarity with people like Iyad and people like Ashraf and Dez, and not give up. And inshallah, they will prevail, and they will continue to be as excellent as they are now. So thank you so much. If anyone else wants to
Yes,
give a word or say something.
yes, Karama. We're gonna go over everyone because I really think we want to hear from everyone what their reflections are, their suggestions, because we can only mobilize as a team, as a group. So let's go to on my screen here. We have Dr. Iman Hosni as the first one there. So, Dr. Iman, are you there?
I am. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I
salam.
want to thank everybody who spoke today. I think the thing that really got to me today, and I don't know if people have like a recommend. I'm trying to figure out how to sort of shift gear. Like it really got to me when Dr. Mads Gilbert and Dr. James Smith were talking about like the humanitarian alibi, and I feel like we've been doing that when we go to the Hill, in an effort to be able to be heard. Like, I know when I ask for appointments, I always in my email say that we are a humanitarian group and not a political group. And it just really struck me like, am I a part of that humanitarian alibi? And in particular, when we were at the Hill last week, whether it was a fortunate thing or not a fortunate thing, we actually spoke directly to a representative. And, we were telling him about all that's going on. And then he kept pressing me and kept saying to me, well, you told me what you want Israel and the United States to do. What do you want Hamas to do? And I was like, what is he talking about? I said to him, I'm an American citizen. I'm here asking you as a government official because, you're using my tax dollars to send weapons there. And he kept pressing me on the Hamas thing, and I think I realized finally that I think he was trying to get me to say, release the hostages, but I don't know whether to not be complicit to this humanitarian alibi. Do we need to be more political when we're going on the Hill? And I didn't know what other folks thought, and how could we go about doing that so that we can be heard? Because I know that when I'm at the meetings in my head, it's screaming, like, look at the history before October, like it's all these things that I feel like I'm not allowed to say when I'm in the meetings. And so I don't know if that's the next step. Like, do we need to just keep it real and just like be in their face, not in a argumentative way, but like, you know what, we're not stupid, we know exactly what's going on, and this is how you are complicit, and we're sick and tired of you being complicit, and we're done being politically correct. So I don't know if anybody feels the same way, and I don't know what the suggestion would be how we could approach things differently on the 25th. And for those of you that don't know, we're going to the Hill again on the 25th, and we would really appreciate anybody joining us because it really helps when we're there in numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. And actually, I do have some answer for this, and I've been actually doing this all along, and I do it in the correct way from the medical standpoint. Talking about the humanitarian situation, the starvation is still very legitimate and very important just to get us into the door and to try to get on the human outside of whatever staff or politician we are talking to. But we should not limit our talk to this point. This is just an entry point to get them on board about something that is not controversial, about something that's basic, that a shared humanitarian value. But as doctors and healthcare workers, we should always follow up on this and build on this and saying that a ceasefire and an end to this genocide is the most medical thing to do. So it's not just allowing aid, because if we just allow aid while people are still being bombed and slaughtered every day, while hospitals are being bombed, if we send medical equipment just to be bombed tomorrow, that by itself is not a solution. So it is okay to start from the humanitarian, from a shared value that everyone, no one should question, but also it's our obligation as doctors who go to school to save lives to say that also the most effective way to save lives at scale, beyond just evacuating a child here and there, as Dr. Smith mentioned. Oh, the UK is celebrating itself because they finally accepted 2 children from Gaza. And I'm sure in that same hour or the same day that they accepted these 2 children, maybe 100 children were murdered, and there are still more than 1 million child who are starving, and there are 20,000 severe cases of injuries that needs evacuation. So we should not just let them get by celebrating a small gesture here or there, because we should insist on practicing medicine. Practicing medicine means saving the highest numbers of life possible, and that is through allowing aid and all aid, food, medication, all these things, and stop the bombing, because as the bombing continues, first of all, aid cannot be distributed because there is no safe area, there is no safe system to deliver these supplies or these aid to the people who need it. Plus, you cannot keep fueling or feeding into the fire. You're sending food, you're sending supplies just to be destroyed, just to be bombed. We need to stop the bombing. And I always recommend to use this quote in medicine that maybe Dr. Brenner knows most, the emergency room doctor. Stop the bleeder first. Stop the bleeder. If you're in the emergency room, in whatever case you have, as long as the bleeding continues, there's nothing else you do, or Dr. Alisa also here from the emergency. So as long as the patient is bleeding, there's no amount of transfusion that's going to help them. You have to stop the bleeding first, which means stop the bombs and the genocide and the attack and the bombardment. Once we stop the bleeding, then it would be much easier to send aid, to send any way of resuscitation to the patient or to the society. So it's all connected, and we can all, we will build the case for a complete solution for this, not just as a humanitarian alibi, but as a complete medical and political solution to the system from the medical standpoint. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to this, but thank you, Iman, for this reflection. This is very important. So maybe since I mentioned Alisa, the emergency room doctor from New York, DAG, New York. Go ahead, Alisa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for everybody from Gaza for your speeches, and people from Norway and the UK today. I'm also going to tag in Mary Beth, though, because it was her original idea. I think some of the actions we're working on now is just kind of putting it in everybody's face. So Mary Beth and Tania and Danny and I went to the View last week to just casually go and put it in everybody's face. And I identify with stuff like that just because at work I do the same thing. Wear my kufia, wear my handala necklace, get questions about that. So if it's in your face, you're going to ask me questions. I think that if we just continually keep putting our bright messages in the public eye, and in the more like pop culture eye, we really can kind of get in underneath. And then it gives us also a platform to speak on. Danny stood up and Whoopi Goldberg read her beautiful shirt that Mary Beth made for her. And it opened up a whole topic of conversation. So I think just like one of my favorite actions is being out there, putting it in the public eye, getting it somehow into pop culture, because then questions get asked.
Hello? Okay. Sorry.
Nicole, I think Danny joined by phone. She also has something to say.
Who?
Danny.
Danny, are you there?
Hi. Yeah. Am I there? You hear me?
Yes, please. Yeah, speak before we lose you.
Great.
It's always good to hear from
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself, Danny, please?
Okay. Sure. I'm Dr. Danny Ritchie, and I'm from Rhode Island. I'm a clinical assistant professor of family medicine, and I work on social determinants of health, structural determinants of health. So I wanted to echo, but I think that what I think it was Elisa, that was who was talking. We finally established a Rhode Island DAG, and we were out in front of Reed's office last week. I think that we really need to be on the streets more, and this is what we did also when we were in New York, handing out flyers, talking to people. There are people who want to hear. They want to hear that we're working against what's going on. We have flyers. When we were in front of Reed's office, a friend of mine, an activist, noted, you need to put the numbers of your representatives on the flyers so that when you're handing it out, you're giving people something to do. You're telling them to call their legislators. But right now, I'm on a fast with Jewish Voices for Peace on a 24-hour fast. And so I'm working with them, and I found out that, they've been doing once a week there at a site in Rhode Island. So if you can join with other groups, so we're going to be able to do that and be able to hand out flyers. We just need to get the word out to people more so that, and visibly. I wanted to answer the question in terms of that question about Hamas. I think that you can say to a representative, Hamas said as soon as you cease fire, they were willing to disband. So, at the moment we can get flustered and forget that is what they've actually said that, and that can be something that can be put back when people are trying to get you into the old, well, the Hamas did this kind of discussion. That's the most that I can think of right now, but I just think making ourselves more visibly, standing in front of our representatives' offices, handing out our flyers, telling them to call their representatives, and people will be grateful. A lot of people don't want to hear about it, but those who are at home and who haven't felt like there's anybody there, they see us, and so we need to be seen.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for sharing this. And yes, actually, you mentioned an important point, which is we need to be calling our elected officials and their representatives every day. And it only takes about 5-10 minutes of our time. We can do it while we are in our cars in the morning, and do it while we are in our cars in the evening, and we can do it on our lunch break, and we can do it before every meal. We can do it after every meal. Let's make it a prescription for every doctor, every healthcare worker, every American, every Canadian to do this. And maybe, Mesa, we can, or any one of us here can help. Let's set up again. I think we did this before, but let's do it again. A call to action where the call is set up that once you sign there, you will be calling the president, you will be calling all your senators, you will be calling all your representatives, and it takes only 1 minute to leave a message for each one of them. And the whole thing takes about 10-15 minutes. And from what we heard when we visited DC from the staffers there, that the call is the most impactful thing. It is the something that they cannot ignore because it's easy for them to ignore the emails and the petitions, but the call is something that they really have to be on the phone with, they really have to listen to, and that each senator, each representative at the end of the week, they review the call log and they hear which subject, which item got the most calls and what was the call about. And it's never too late to do this again and again and again. And while we're preparing for bigger actions, while we're preparing for more local actions, while we're preparing for DC visits, the one that we have scheduled for June 25th, and maybe another global healthcare action on June 15. While we're doing this, let's get back on the calls and calling them not just once, not just twice, call them 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. Because as we heard from our colleagues in Gaza, the situation cannot wait any minute, any day longer. So thank you for reminding us of this, Danny. And I'm going off my screen by order, the people who are showing on my screen. So now I go to Dr. Mariam Shitab from Dr. Against Genocide, California. Mariam, go ahead, please share your reflection, your thoughts, your ideas.
Well, similar to Iman, I think about a conversation I had with a representative that will remain unnamed, but what he said was, I want full humanitarian aid to go to Gaza, but I don't want it to fall into the hands of Hamas. And this is despite the fact that Cindy McCain from the World Food Program has come out and said Hamas is not stealing the aid. Everything we know about this BS Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And it's at this point, it's hard to know if it's like willful ignorance on the part of our representatives when all of this information is out there and they have entire armies of staffers to sift through all the information, or if they truly don't know. But the thing that concerns me and I think should remain an area of focus for people to educate people around them, to call their representatives and educate them, is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation model is non-functional, right? Everyone is jumping ship. The Boston Consulting Agency or whatever, they bailed, everyone's bailing. But while this is happening, we're getting news that the State Department is considering donating or investing 500 million American tax dollars into this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That just came out 2 days ago. So there's this huge disconnect, and you would think that they would abandon this GHF model and go back to our tried and true models of getting humanitarian aid delivered into Gaza. But it's like our government is digging in their heels, because why would you now be considering putting $500 million into this project? So I don't think we can give up talking about that as we, pivot to some other model. That is still an issue. The fact that the State Department is talking about putting $500 million into this project means they are not going to do what we've been asking, what everyone has been saying needs to be done, which is let the UN and UNRWA and, Oxfam, all the traditional programs, let them manage aid. So that's going to be a problem.
Yes, I agree with you, and we need to be, I think, just a little bit careful that when we say this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is not working, yes, it's not working for the people of Gaza, it's not working for us, not working for humanity, but it's working very well for Israel, because that is exactly why they set it up. It is a death trap. It is a way to buy time to give the false illusion to the world that they are sending aid, which will buy them more time to continue their genocidal and annihilation campaign. So, yes, I agree that we should be careful. We should point out the failures of the system. We should, emphasize that it's killing more people than it's helping. But as you mentioned, we should also insist that our tax money should not be invested in criminal projects like this, while we're cutting services, basic services from our children here, from our schools, from our Medicaid, and The food and all these supplies that are needed for Gaza are already there. We don't even need American money for it. It's already there. We just need to allow them in instead of giving $500 million for those warlords who are profiting from this project. And believe it or not, even in Israel, the people are questioning this whole project, the transparency of it, who's funding it, who's behind it. Everything about this project is shady, is criminal. It's set up by design to enable the continuation of this campaign of annihilation. So thank you, Mariam, for sharing, for highlighting this. And again, reminder, everyone, please, we need to call everyone. Be ready. Make the message very brief. Make it very respectful but firm, and make sure that we as Americans disapprove of all these policies that this administration and the previous administration are committing in our name with our tax money but without our consent. On my screen here, I go now to Maribeth Brownlee, Doctor Against Genocide, Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Maribeth.
Can folks hear me? Can you hear me
Yes,
okay? Okay.
very clearly.
So, been talking with sort of like our Northeast group, so some Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island people about an action in this upcoming week leading into our Dag Hill Day on the 25th. So we're trying to figure out a time and a good target spot to set up with the banner again, and maybe do some more flyering. Set up like another small like nidus of influence and invitation to bring people to the awareness of our organization and the work. And as I'm listening to everybody, I'm also thinking maybe that Northeast group, we should also be talking about when there are other actions planned, protests, street marches, things like that in New York City, because it's kind of central to the more New England crowd, and then the Southern group here in Pennsylvania, about bringing a banner like we do in DC. It doesn't have to be just DC. You can get a small team and walk the streets with the banner. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now in the Northeast area.
Thank you, Maribeth. Can you please tell us who you are?
I'm Mary Beth Brownlee. I'm a medical student in Pennsylvania.
And what other history do you have? Why don't you have your army fatigue on? Please, I always have been asking you this for a whole year now.
Why I don't wear the uniform of the oppressor? Because at some point a person has to take autonomy back and decide who the real enemy is, not based on what the government dictates it is.
Thank you. Proud of you. Thank you. Always
Thank you.
pleasure to hear from you, Maribeth.
Well, and now I wouldn't want to wear it and get confused with a paramilitary force like ICE or those enforcing harm against other people at home here.
Yes, yeah, very, very, very true. Thank you. Dania Khalid, Doctors Against Genocide, New York. Thank you, Dania, for being with us. Thank you for going to DC every single time. Thank you for driving there every morning and spending the whole day and driving back every evening. I cannot do it myself, so thank you for your dedication, Daniel. Go ahead.
Of course, it's my honor. Thank you to everyone, all our colleagues in Gaza. It's such an honor to be in community with them. And some reflections, I'll piggyback off of what Mariam said about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It was really disheartening during our meetings on the Hill and our drop-ins to hear that the aides and the staffers were not informed on, I wouldn't even say the latest updates. I just say like just the happenings of what's been going on. So it's been making me think about how do we do our part to keep them updated. At DAG, we do keep a master spreadsheet of all the contacts that we make on the Hill. And I'm wondering if for anybody who wants to reach out, maybe we can send like a weekly email to whatever contacts we've made about just bullet points about what's been happening and send it to them. Because like I said, we've met with like legislative aides, people in charge of people who aid in foreign policy that didn't know what was happening with the Jake Woods resignation, with BCG pulling out. So I think that's just inexcusable, especially being that the US government is funding and abetting this. So I've been thinking more so about like what we can do in terms of being proactive and just providing them with weekly updates. So I don't know, maybe we can talk about that further. Like I said, it could just be like a few bullet points to whatever contacts we've made with the legislative people that we've built relationships with and say, okay, this week, this is what's going on. That way they can stay ahead. And also to add to what Dr. Iman said about the conversation about Hamas, I think we should start being more comfortable with bringing that up and not shying away from it. And I think it can be done in a way that's not seen so, I guess, for them, where they view us as a non-humanitarian organization. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Daniel, what a great idea. Thank you. You and Iman are going to take the lead on this, please. The weekly updates to the staffers, so you already found yourself another work, another thing to take more and more out of your personal and family time. But please, you and Iman, I think you are in the best position, both of you, to take the lead on this, and we all are happy to support you. This is very important. Every week we come up with a summary, the highlights, and we share it with the staffers, the senators, and actually we can share it, with other people. Once we have the updates, once we have the data, we can share it in all our email system, which is more than 25,000 by now. But this is a very, very great point. In addition to also setting up this call that we all should do and can do every day. Yes, thank you again, Dania. Now we go to Dr. Ahmad Abu Arab, Doctors Against Genocide, Michigan. Ahmad, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, Ahmad, share with us your reflections, your suggestions,
Thank you.
what
Assalamu
you're working on. Alaikum salam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for all this. I know every weekend we kind of get together and we hear these stories. And I'm a University of Michigan faculty member at the medical school. And part of my job there is to do transgender health. And I am not a transgender person, nor am I in the LGBTQ community, but I understand how the world of allyship works and how you have to center the person who is struggling in that struggle. And these webinars are so focused on that type of work that it's really motivating for us all to keep doing the work. We center the Gazan voice every single time we speak on Sundays. And I think it has to be reiterated that that's such an important way of expressing our ways. If you hear my kids screaming in the background, I'm sorry, they're playing in the background. So I'm sorry about that.
Bring them on,
Yeah.
Ahmad. I think you mentioned that yesterday, but that's fine. They are welcome to join.
They're right there playing in the yard. So I wanted to add a couple of things. So there's going to be a People's Conference for Palestine, which I think DAG will be part of that organizing. So that'll be in Detroit on the last weekend of August. And so we're hoping to have people there for that. We're also going to have an actual DAG conference as well, the weekend of the 20th and 21st of September. Location, it'll be in Michigan, location to be determined. But those of you who want to help organize that conference, please reach out. Let me know who of you would like to help organize that. We want to center the Gazan voice in that conference, but also we would like to, I think it's important that we discuss other genocides going on or have gone on in the past to, as Dr. Jabour said earlier, yesterday we spoke about how every single story, every single struggle in the world can be free if Gaza is free, if Palestine is free. If we don't understand the struggle of the Palestinian world and their day-to-day, all these things that are happening in our lives, even here in the United States, it's because we let it happen to Palestinians before. And so there's precedent. And so if we can concentrate, I think all of our struggles, we can get medical personnel from these different areas of the world where there's genocides going on, whether it's the Congo, Sudan, Tigray, the histories in Cambodia and Rwanda, all those places we can kind of get healthcare workers to discuss their stories at those places at our conference. I think it'll be an even stronger voice, and ultimately that can liberate Palestine. So that's my 2 cents, and so I'm looking forward to work with y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmad, and thank you for highlighting the point of always highlighting the voice of the victims. Thank you also for taking the lead on the Doctors Against Genocide conference to be held in Michigan the weekend of September 21st, 22nd, and this is an open invitation to anyone who knows any voice in the world that can add value to this conference from any struggle. And as Dr. Ahmad said, all these injustices, all these struggles are interconnected, from the Israeli tanks in Gaza to the ICE armed vehicles in the streets of Los Angeles. The aggressors are the same. Those who are exploiting humanity are the same, and the victims are the same. And these are all interconnected struggles, and the fight is the same. We need to mobilize, we need to unite our voices, our efforts. هلا حبيبتي كيفك؟ I'm gonna stop talking about medicine, about genocide now. Hi, hello.
Yeah, Sophia.
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 Hi.
Hi, Javi.
Oh, this Javier. So this is the first time I knew that Javier in Spanish means Jafar in Arabic. What a great name. Lovely, beautiful children, Ahmad. Thank you for
Thank you all.
enjoy them, and I know we took you away from them for the last few hours. But again, much appreciated. Please, anyone has any suggestion about the conference, any names, any ideas, reach out to me or to Ahmad or any one of the DAG leadership who are working on this about the third weekend of September, and it's going to be in a very reputable place. We cannot announce it now because we don't want them to cancel it before we even start. So, but Ahmad did a great job. We already have the perfect location, the perfect city. We just need to put things together, and inshallah, as always, we will always prevail because we have the truth, we have justice, we have humanity on our side. Again, on my screen here, it's Dr. Roxana Samimi. Next, Roxana, are you there with us? Roxana? If Roxana is not there, then I
No,
have.
I'm here. I just can't turn on the
Go ahead.
video right now.
That's fine. Go ahead.
I don't really have anything actually to add. I think everyone before me said everything that was needed to say. I mean, but I am here with you guys.
Thank you, Roxana. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for all your great work, contribution. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your bravery. And don't worry, Roxana. All will be okay soon. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. We are all behind you, and we will all be okay because we did not commit any crime. We are demanding justice. We are on the right side of history. If anyone needs to be worried or scared, it's those who are committing those crimes, who are supporting those crimes, who are enabling these crimes, who are murdering children, who are starving children, not us. Now we go to Martha Miller, Dr. Against Genocide, Boston. Martha, are you with us?
Barely. I'm a little sick, so I'm nodding off. But I'm here listening. I know in Boston we're planning to do an action around the head of Lockheed Martin is on the board of Mass General. So we're doing an action on that. I don't know all the details, but it's pretty soon, and I don't think they want to talk about the details too much yet. I think it's in conjunction with BDS. And I got some banners, and I will travel New York, Providence, maybe not Philadelphia. That's what we're doing. I just wanted to add, my brother, who hasn't been politically active in the past, has started to go around town with signs, just because he wasn't so inspired by the movie he went to see in Toronto that Mesa hosted.
Wow, great.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I want to say this again, Martha, the head of Lockheed Martin, the biggest weapon manufacturer in the world, that is designed to murder human beings, is on the board of one of the biggest healthcare systems and hospital systems in Boston, the Boston General, what's the name of the
Mass General
hospital?
Hospital.
Mass General
Mass General
Hospital.
Brigham. Mhm.
I mean, this is just oxymoron by itself to
Yeah.
have the head of weapon manufacturer being also the lead and the board of an institution that is invested in saving lives and in healthcare. So you can kill people from one side, then you try to fix. I don't know. This just exposes all what is wrong with the American healthcare system and the American medical institutions that became just for profit, that are as capitalist as it can get, that are exploiting the Americans, the patients, that are not providing them with the real service that they deserve, while making millions and millions for their administrators, for their CEOs, and hiring people are profiting from war, from murder on their boards. So thank you, Martha. I hope you feel better soon. Thank you for being with us, and we'll talk soon, inshallah. Now we go to Dr. Ashraf Abdulaziz, Doctors Against Genocide, Indiana. Dr. Ashraf, are you there? Tfaddal.
Yes. Assalamu thank you for giving me the chance to talk. I just want to just get a summary of some of the very strong talks that I heard today from you, Dr. Nadal, and from Dr. Gilbert, Dr. Smith, Dr. Rose, and of course from our heroes in Gaza. A couple of things came to my mind when I heard that. I think that we need to be, like Dr. Gilbert say, to be more on the aggressive side rather than the passive side when we try to spread our message, whether to politicians or to the public. I like the comparison that Dr. Gilbert have made about Israel being a cancer. And as we all know, cancers, if they're not treated, they will spread and they will kill the body. And there are so many ways to deal with that. I'm not going to go into details about this, but I think that should be in the back of our mind when we talk about Israel and what they're doing and their supporters. You don't feel the cancer, you try to get rid of a cancer. And when we talk about Hamas and why we don't talk to Hamas and let them go, Hamas is these are freedom fighters, like Dr. Gilbert have said. They have their own agenda. We are not. We don't condone everything they are doing, but they have the rights, and we are not the spokesman for Hamas. We can't go and tell them what to do or not to do. This up to the people of Gaza to decide what they want to do. Our role here is to stop the war, is to try to stop that war. And for that, and we need to keep this in the back of our mind when we talk to the politicians on the Hill. Unfortunately, I couldn't come last meeting at the in DC, but I really enjoyed and was very impressed with everybody that talked at the meetings, whether with the representatives or their staff, or I mean, that was my first time, and I was very, very impressed with the strong arguments that people make. And we need to keep this tone. I mean, even when we get arrested, I mean, I didn't get arrested, but I mean, for people who get arrested, I think one of the messages we can say that you are using our tax money that we are paying to stop us from defending people that being killed with our tax monies, but you are allowing criminals from APEC lobbyists to come and steal our tax money. I mean, that could be a very strong message to be given, because this is the truth. This is actually what is happening. We are paying taxes, and we are, as a group of physicians, we are one of the highest taxpayers in this country. So they are using our money to stop us from saying what is right. And in the meantime, they are taking our tax money to investigate us, to arrest us, to spy on us, and overall to pay for all these bombs that are being used to kill innocent people. I mean, this is a very strong message that can be easily said. The second point that I want to make is that we need to be more visible with major events that happens globally, as DAG, as Doctors Against Genocide. I know that we have 5,000, but our presence in the midst of major events like the March to Gaza, like the Madeleine ship going to Gaza. I mean, even having our name and our support for these events, I think that would widen our base and make more people aware of who we are and what we are doing. Like today, my wife is a physician in Indiana. She's on a group of female physicians, about 200, 300, much exactly, physicians that own group
Your
Facebook.
connection
And
is
one of
breaking
the
up.
physicians, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but it's breaking up a little bit.
Can you
Dr.
hear me
Ashraf.
now?
Yes, we hear you better now.
Okay. Okay. So what happened is that one of the physicians said that her daughter, who's 21, is going to the March for Gaza, and she was asking opinions about how safe that would be. And I told my wife, I mean, there might be like some doctors from Doctors Against Genocide being in this march. So people started asking, who are Doctors of Genocide? Others said that, yeah, we know some of the doctors from Doctors of Genocide. Maybe they can take care of her while she's on the march. So this is kind of like in a hidden way, like making us more to the healthcare community, because honestly, I'm personally having a hard time recruiting people to come to DAG in Indiana, and these are not. I'm not talking about Americans on like white Americans. I'm talking about doctors, a lot of doctors from Arab background and Muslim background, and I don't know why they are so shy even to be members. So we need to uh, try to widen our base as much as we can, by all possible means. And in the meantime, we have to be more aggressive in our message, and to be to not apologize for anything that's being happening in the way people resist. I mean, yes, we are. This is DAG is a peaceful organization, a peaceful humanitarian organization. But as like Dr. Gilbert said, I mean, the Palestinians have the right to use all kind of resistance after all these years of oppression and occupation. So I think these are the thoughts that came to my mind listening to all those great speakers today, and I'm not crossing.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Ashraf. Thank you, Dr. Ashraf. Sorry, the connection was not great. Maybe we missed a few of your points, but yes, I really applaud your point about us be more bold and more forceful in our asks and our approach to politicians that we are speaking with. As you mentioned, the Palestinian people have nothing to apologize for. The Palestinian people did not commit any crime. No Palestinian ever occupied anyone else's land. No Palestinian ever practiced apartheid over other people. Uh, the Palestinian people have the right to live with full freedom, dignity, and full political and human rights on their land. The Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank have the right to go back and reclaim their land in Tel Aviv, in Jaffa, and Akka. That is their inherent, inalienable right. The Palestinian people have the right to defend themselves. If anyone in the world have the right to defend themselves, the Palestinian people would have the highest of those rights because they have been under a campaign of genocide, forced expulsion, and extermination over the last century and a half. No one has the right to defend themselves, their rights to live free as anyone else on their land with full political and human rights as the Palestinians are. So I agree, they have nothing to apologize for. They have the right to do everything they can do and by any means necessary to defend their existence and their humanity. Regarding the visibility of DAG, thank you for bringing this up. Point well taken. We are a smaller organization, but we are growing, and part of growing is also to participate in every venue, every action, every march there is. We have been approached by the march to Gaza early on, and I take some of the blame myself on not being more active in preparing this because in the early stages the preparation was a little bit disorganized. It was a little bit confusing, and we ourselves were kind of honestly very busy doing some actions here in the United States and in DC, and we did not have enough hands on deck to participate in both actions at the same. But as the action of the march to Gaza is coming to fruition, and it seems things might be more promising in the next week or so, we are still keeping our eyes on that march, and we might decide in the last minute to jump on and join as much as we can to this march in Gaza. Regarding the flotilla, we have also been approached by the people organizing the flotilla because they did request for medical presence and medical personnel to be on that flotilla. I did announce this in our groups few times, but unfortunately, no one volunteered. We do know that the participation in the flotilla does carry a little bit more risk than other actions. For me, as Palestinian, I tried to be on the flotilla last year myself. The only thing that eventually made me decide not to participate is the fact that once Israel seized these boats, everyone who's in that flotilla will be banned from entering Palestine for a minimum of 10 years, regardless. And as a Palestinian who has a family in Palestine and in West Bank, I cannot take this risk because I insist on my right to be able to go back to visit my homeland and my family in Palestine. But again, everyone who's willing to take this risk or comfortable taking this risk, please let us know. We did notify people and we are willing to notify them again. If you know anyone from the healthcare system who is interested to be part of it, let us know because we have the connections and they do need medical help, medics and medical personnel on those boats. This is not going to be the last boat. Even if we miss this one, we can still make it to the next one if anyone is interested. And regarding the march to Gaza, we are still on board, not fully participating, but once we feel there is a practical way, or once we feel that there is a chance for this march to go on unhindered, we will be jumping in and joining the last minute. Go ahead, Maisa, if you have anything to
I
add
just
to
want to add that one of our members, Yiping G, is actually Dr. Yiping G is also joining the March to Gaza from Canada, and he actually has a press conference about this next week, so I can share that as well. So some of our members are participating, but you're right, we didn't really have the bandwidth or the capacity to organize properly for this, so but we fully support all these actions.
We have Jess. Jess, Jess, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Dr. Jess Gannam.
Yes.
You are the real Jess, the real Jesus, who are descendant of the true Jesus. Please, I want to fix your name. Maisa, can you put your name, please, as Dr. Jess Gannam, and please welcome, chime in if you have any reflections. Thank you for joining, Jess.
Of course, and thank you for your words, Dr. Jabour. They were really very important and very, very, very essential in this historical moment to hear these words every week from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Just if you heard our webinar, if you have any reflections on what we heard from our colleagues in Gaza, from our colleagues here, if you have any suggestions about how we can be more impactful, the situation in Gaza is very dire. We're talking about hours or days. The people there are exhausted. They're running out of any resource they have. They're running out of every ounce of energy they have. And they need us now more than ever. If you have any suggestions, any reflections, please we are all ears. Thank you.
Well, I think the reflection that we have at this moment, hearing from our brothers, our sisters, our colleagues back home in Gaza, it's so essential that we take that message every day and use it in our own mobilizations here, because every day is an opportunity to re-engage with our work at DAG and the other organizations that we work in, to recommit ourselves to freedom and self-determination for Palestinians in Gaza, West Bank, Jerusalem, and globally in the diaspora. We know that. With a special emphasis, obviously, on Gaza, we continue to see this kind of depraved political atmosphere right now, where the entire world, as we know, is demanding a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire, a resumption of humanitarian aid. And we continue to see the United States and Israel vetoing it, or the United States for sure vetoing it in the United Nations. Any attempt to stop the misery and the genocide and the starvation that is being brought upon our community back home. So that we must take this and redouble our efforts. We must recommit ourselves every single day. And I think in terms of the immediacy, I mean, and you said this, Dr. Jabour, what can we do in terms of the immediacy on the ground in Gaza? And I'd have to say that at this moment, our biggest impact is what we can do to move things here in the United States, obviously, because we need to do everything possible to resume the humanitarian, medical, and food aid to get into Gaza. That has to happen every single day. We have to recommit ourselves to the political transformation of this current trend of the political atmosphere in the United States that is not in the United States' best interest to serve a genocidal regime right now. It's not in the long-term interests of this country or of any country to continue to support what is happening right now. It'll only backfire. I'll just end by saying that sometimes when we see what's happening in Gaza right now, we feel hopeless. We feel like there's nothing we can do, and we have to fight that impulse to those feelings, because every single day there is a recommitment to this process, a recommitment to letting our brothers and sisters in Gaza know that we will never forget them. We will continue to fight for freedom and justice and self-determination for them every single day. And being part of DAG is a big part of that. The political marches that are going to be and movements that are happening and going to happen in the next within the next few weeks and month are critical. And I just want to encourage everybody to recommit themselves to their local DAG communities, their local DAG chapters, and the marches that are coming up.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this insight, Dr. Gannam. Always inspiring. Thank you for being there. Thank you for who you are. And sorry for our audience, for everyone that we took maybe a long time for this webinar as usual, but I always say nothing is too much for Gaza. Gaza deserves this and much more. We have to try more. We have to do more. We have to act and work and do something every day. We, the people, can stop this. No one else will do it. All the leaders, all the higher-ups are invested and benefiting from this genocide. It's only us, the people, whether here in America or in Europe or in Palestine or all over the world, we, the people, are the only one who are losing. We are the victims. And the only way for us to overcome this is to unite, to speak up louder, to be more bold, to empower each other, every single one of us, for the sake of every American, for the sake of every European, for the sake of every Palestinian, for the sake of every Arab or Muslim or Christian or Jew or Buddhist in this world. The world that the ruling class is creating for us is not a world we want to be part of. It is not designed for us, the people. It is designed for them to exploit us all. All these struggles are connected. The starving child in Palestine is the same as the black starving child in the hoods of Detroit, or the migrant child, the 6-year-old who watched his dad snatched from his elementary school graduation yesterday and the day before in Los Angeles. We are all connected with the same struggle, and we all need to unite, amplify our message. And our freedom, our mission does not end until we are all free, here and abroad. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for strong voices. Please speak up more. Please do more. Please send us your suggestions, your ideas. Please join us more. Please strengthen this movement. The medical community is a very, very powerful community anywhere in the world, and they can do wonders if they really live up to their oath to save lives, to stand with the victim, with the poor, with the weak, with the sick. This is what we go to school for. This is our job. It's our moral, professional, and legal obligation. Any doctor, any nurse, any paramedic, any pharmacist, any hospital administrator who fails this and stays silent is failing their oath. It's failing their profession. They should quit. They should go and work in business that is profiting from murder. They should leave healthcare. They should not call themselves doctors or nurses or healthcare workers anymore, because they belong to the class with the war profiteers, the war machine, the exploiters in charge like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg, and all those who are profiting from the death and the starvation of children. They do not belong to our noble profession of medicine, of saving lives, of protecting the vulnerable, whether here in the United States or in Gaza or in Palestine and everywhere. And until victory for the people, we will meet you, inshallah, next week, next Sunday. And in the meantime, please call, please do more, please brainstorm, please talk to your superiors, to your colleagues, to your officials. As we all heard, the children of Gaza cannot take it any longer. The doctors in Gaza are starving and exhausted and cannot take it much longer. The nurses and everyone. I remember the days of COVID, and especially in the first week or two when everything went on lockdown. The biggest country in the world became a ghost town. We could not find a toilet paper. We, the biggest country in the world, the biggest resources, the biggest economy, with a tiny virus, and for 1 week of lockdown or two, we completely crashed. Imagine the people of Gaza who have been under full blockade and siege for the last 95 days, under constant bombardment and genocide for the last 612 days, under calorie and siege for the last 20 years, and the Palestinian people have been undergoing this campaign of genocide for the last 150 years. If we could not do it and sustain for 1 week, how do you expect them? I know they're tough, they're heroes, they're resilient, but they're still human. And we need to be there for them more urgent than ever. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you all next week. Assalamu alaikum. And Tahya Ghazi, Tahya Palestine. Live long Gaza, live long Palestine, down, down with Israel and with all the genocidal forces, down with the American administration that is funding and committing the genocide. Thank you, everyone.